It's the weird part of the year. People show up unannounced. It's what's going on.
Yeah, the weird part of the year because it's post-Christmas, almost New Year's, right? Like it's the post-Christmas weird part of the year. That's a good way to describe it.
The armpit of the year.
The armpit of the year, the very last hair.
Very last armpit hair of 2024. And
you got to give it to 2024, right? What a year it was.
I was awesome. I had the best year. I know I was very into myself this year, but when people were like, oh, this is so hard, or like, this is so dramatic, I'm like, I had so much fun this year. I did not stay in my house, like, at all. I just didn't. And it was like my actual goal of the year is just, I was out all the time. Some of it was weird. Some of it was crazy. Some of the people were annoying. But I wasn't bored like once in 2024, and I'm loving it. I am also like fried now. Like I think I'm feeling the last armpit hair because I'm like, wow, that was wild.
Yeah. For some reason, what came to my mind was that thing of Matthew McConaughey smoking the joint, with like that crackhead look on his face.
Literally,
it's kind of that feeling.
That is exactly what I would describe as 2024. Like, okay,
yeah,
like we're out of it, and there's a big way that I felt like, especially for me and like my personal journey, but like. 2020 was COVID. It was the weird year, right? Okay. 2024, I did feel like we graduated. Like I felt like I had like a senior year summer. Like it was like we were doing Brat Girl summer. Like it was like, okay, we graduated. The world was weird. We don't know. Okay, but now we're all doing something now. Like a lot of it's different, but like now we're doing the thing. And it literally, I felt like we graduated. I was like, okay, we graduated. Now this is now. We're doing what we do. TikTok, like it's just like what's changed has changed, and now we're kind of running with it, and it was so fun. Brat summer, like it was the best year ever.
When you say we, do you mean like we, like collectively?
Yeah, I guess I mean like the collective consciousness, but like that not being so broad because I'm so I guess I mean more like people in like my generation, the people that identify with concepts like Brat Summer and are like very online, like those people. I think so I guess I mean people in their late 20s who live in urban environments. That's what I mean by the we.
And what changed? Like how did that happen?
I just feel like now things are, and that's the thing is I don't know if I'm observing something cultural or I just like put myself out there this year because that was something like I know I intentionally did, and so I can't we everybody into that one.
Yeah.
But I just do feel like things are open now and like have a little bit more momentum, whereas like even like just being in bars in like 2021, there was just this kind of feeling of like, what are we doing? Like, is this all good? Like, is everybody good? And then there was still like always like maybe like there's still been like little drops through the years, and even was like this year where like people were masking again and like drops in. But I felt like this season, especially like flu season and COVID season, when I even saw the masks again, it was literally like everyone was like, yep, we're doing the thing. If you're contagious, put it on. And this is normal. This is like, it's just whatever. We're doing whatever. And I guess also because I was doing comedy through the politics of the year, that I was like, it felt like I was watching people kind of like deal like business as usual. Like instead of this being like the biggest drama of our lifetimes, which everything politically, to me anyway, like since COVID felt like it was like when we were in COVID, you got like, at least when I was in COVID, living with my ex, she was so focused on politics and like everything politically was like a huge drama.
When was this? Like
this was 2020. Like during I was like quarantined with someone, and it was just like now I feel like I needed these 4 years to like it like kind of bled out, and now like nothing even feels like such a drama. Like I've been telling people, and I told people over the holidays that like the day after the election, people were like, oh, was the election stressful? Like, were you stressed out? Like, what, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I was literally hosting an open mic. And as they started to call, like as it was looking like Trump, there was like 4 comedians at the bar across from me, all just kind of, and like totally playfully and sweetly getting out their Trump impressions and kind of like working on them. And it felt so to me like, no drama, all comedy. Like this is not like we're obviously going to take care of each other. And there were people in that bar upset and there was stress for sure. But there was just this feeling of like, yeah, but like we're all here right now. None of us are like in our homes trapped. We're all like choosing to be here, having a beer, and like we're going to take care of each other. So there was just a feeling of like, no, we already did this. we all already did the drama. And the drama from 2020 was freshman year, and now we're seniors. We're done.
Yeah.
That's how it felt anyway.
In that room that night.
That night, and to me, that was like a scene of like how I've been feeling, because that's how I felt with like the concept of Brat Summer, and like everyone sort of almost getting on a meme that was like just a word. Like it's so basic, and it was like the basic meme was, it's Brat Summer, do whatever you want, and like be a monster. It doesn't matter. But it was like it felt like a fun kind of nihilism, where like the 2020 drop was like, oh wow, we're all going to die. We already knew the world was burning. And like this is for sure we're going to die. Like if you think it's a conspiracy, we're going to die. If you think it's 100% a virus, we're going to die. Like it was just we're going to die.
Yeah.
And then this summer was like, yeah, we're going to die. Like let's go to the beach.
Oh.
And it felt like it was the evolution of like shit got so weird that now it's like, yeah, dude, it's weird. All right. Like now people are adapting, and like it is what it is.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it just felt like almost like a graduation.
I feel like the simulation is caving in on itself. Like we're watching it happen in real time, but it's like the way you would imagine it happening is all at once, but really what happens is it happens slowly, gradually over time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's almost like we've like, I don't know who, how exactly old is the Matrix, but it's like we've been so culturally, it is normal to know like, oh yeah, it's a simulation, it's glitching, we're not doing good. But that's been so normal for so long that it is almost this thing that's just like, okay, yeah, what else is gonna happen? Like, what other weird shit am I gonna see?
We got fucking like, what do you call them? I guess like GIFs in the sky now.
No, literally, literally, that's like, I got to go to Vegas this year for the first time as an adult. Looking at the sphere was like, okay, there's a meme on the skyline.
Yeah.
Like that, it's so... What?
Yeah.
Why?
I
but
mean,
also not threatening.
It is Vegas, though. For the record, we're talking about Vegas.
And that's the thing is,
it's like the pinnacle of that.
No, it literally feels like a pimple, and I don't even mean this in a bad way. Like I don't, but a pimple on the like oversaturated lights of the strip, and then you have a literal. It's like a white head of pure light of like just. I'm so fascinated with the sphere. Like I really am. I'm like, Lady Gaga will get a residency at the Sphere. I'm speaking this into existence. I think it will be a good thing.
Okay.
I'm putting it on the record.
All right.
So I've never been there. I'm not going until she does it.
Okay.
But I was so fascinated with it when I was there, and I was good, and I was ready to look at it, and I kept being like, I'm gonna be so like mind bent and inspired by this. It's ads. It's ads.
On the outside?
Yeah, it's mostly ads all the time.
Oh, of course.
Sometimes they show cool shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
But it's
like,
always like somebody's paying for that space. Yeah.
exactly.
Of course. Yeah.
Like it was like I kept like watching this one thing that was kind of trippy and being like, oh yeah, like I'm on mushrooms. I'm looking at the sphere. Look at me look through the Matrix. And it was like every time it was a Guns N' Roses ad. And like when that like became clear to me, it just boom, done. No high, no trippy feeling, just oh God, what is the world? But that was almost more
It became existential.
No, really. It was like, oh, like how they're still okay. Go for it, guys.
I was vibing at first, dude. Like, it was a cool time. Like we were staring at this, and it's like, wow, this is art. And
it was like horses in a field and like poker cards, and I was like, what are we doing? Vegas, yeah. And they were like, you know who's doing Vegas? Guns N' Roses, baby. And I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's
and
just
like
an ad.
And I imagine too, it's one of those things where you see like the best ones on social media, but it's not always that.
It's super. Like I don't feel like I saw anything that wasn't an ad on there. And now I was running around like for 4 days. It wasn't like I didn't have a Sphere View hotel room that I was like gazing out at it at.
Sphere View.
Yeah.
They probably charge more.
Oh, they do.
bet.
I booked the room. Oh, they do. It's amazing. I do love Vegas. That's the thing is I was changed this year by Vegas.
Yeah?
as a person. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Oh yeah. Just like it's just we've always, and I think it almost, maybe I'm too high and I'm just trying to make it relate, but it almost relates where it's like, for me at my age, growing up on the internet and then like having the COVID time of feeling so like trapped with scrolling and just like hitting the dopamine scrolling and just like, what am I even doing? I'm too existential to go outside. It's good to not go outside. So I guess I'm just right here. And then to go to the place that is like the human effort of hitting that dopamine like lights show in the classic like vintage way. I was like, wait, what? Like we've all just been doing slot machines. Like this, it's like it's all like, and then I feel like it's like a known or like a cliche that like the slot machine technology is the same thing they use for scrolling technology. And I was like, it was so real and visceral to me. Like I was like, this is it. Literally, it broke my brain in a way because I was just like, oh, we are just the monkeys like craving this so bad. Like it's all that all the time.
A truly mind-blowing revelation. Okay, and we have these things happen to us sometimes where we have a moment, an epiphany, and we realize that something just blew our minds. It boggled our brains. It made us think in a way we couldn't think before. Sometimes people do that. I'd like to think I'm one of those people, and I'd like to think you are too. And if we are those things, we might as well let people know with a professional mind blower t-shirt, okay? Be the experience that people need. Be the mind blower that you are. Make the connections, folks. That's what we is. And if you want to let the people know that's what we is, then you get a professional mind blower t-shirt. They're $25. We got smalls, we got mediums, we got larges, and it is a great way for you to support this program. You want to support this show, but you don't want to get a t-shirt? Well, let me tell you, we got a way for that too. We got a way that can happen. It's called Patreon. Patreon, folks. If you join the Patreon, it's $5 a month, the price of a coffee, the price of a beer at the bar, and you are letting us know monthly that this show is worth watching, worth supporting, worth investing in. Yes, it is true. The cryptocurrency is down at the moment, but Ruse Radio is on the up and up. So please support us on Patreon. Let us know that you like what we're doing here because it means the world to me. It keeps me going. It keeps the people in this room making this program go down. All right, let's hear more about revelations.
It made me, and it didn't make me not addicted to my phone. I'm like back fully addicted to my phone, but I think about it all the time because it's just like I think because I'm 95, like I am the kind of the youngest millennial, and so I think millennials especially are like fascinated with ourselves and our generation and like the struggle we've had growing up online. Okay. And I was just like, that's not unique. It's not unique. Like human beings are the same, and like I don't want to escalate it to just drugs because there's probably a better way to put it, but it's just like you're gonna have your fix, whatever it is, like, and you're always gonna crave, and this craving, the addiction feeling of the craving the dopamine and needing the overstimulation, it's on TikTok, but it's also always been out in the world in real life that's what humans do.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting about it too is social media is like it's escalated over time with how that's delivered. The Vine was the first one to really hit that, where it was so fast and each one was so short.
Yes.
And then TikTok kind of emulated that later on, but just now TikTok's the monster that it is. Vine died. I don't know if TikTok was around before Vine died.
I don't think it was, because TikTok's evolution is from Musical.ly. TikTok came from that, which I think Musical.ly might have had some kind of iteration during the time of Vine, but it was not that at all. It was like, it was lip syncing. Like it was like that was, and it was like, it's that. So
they're like 13-year-olds going viral over lip syncing Justin Bieber.
Yes, no, I'm struggling now for the name of it, but there's a fascinating documentary about like a kid that actually happened to on Musical.ly specifically, which is why I know that history. But he went viral for lip syncing to Justin Bieber and like did the whole thing of like, I think he moved to like an LA content house at that time. And,
Hell yeah.
And it's about as dark as you imagine. Like it was not. It was not a happy documentary. It was a deep, disturbing thing I watched once.
I can't even imagine, actually. Like, that's intriguing to me because it sounds like, to a lot of kids, that probably sounds awesome. Like going to one of those content houses and doing all that. Like, that sounds sweet.
Yeah.
All I got to do is lip sync. I don't even have to have a talent.
Well, and that was the thing. And that was the thing, that it was just like he'd gone viral for lip syncing. So then he's too young to realize that like he doesn't have a talent. And they're just like, you're talented. And it's like, he can't like make music all of a sudden or something. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, and it was just very like it was very bleak because it was one of those. Yeah, they showed the reaction of the family and
They're
how
like
everyone was
whipping
like,
him, motherfucker, make content.
no, it wasn't even that. You know, it was so much darker. It was like some guy in his 40s just kind of in the corner, and like it's dark. Like he's got like 5 phones, and he's like, "Yeah, guys, do it." Like it was
like
just
some weird shady manager guy.
It was weird shady manager. Like once
To a
again,
T, yeah.
nothing is new. Like this guy is the guy who stole Motown, and now he's in a content house. Like nothing is new. He's just like, there's something happening with the young and talented. I'm gonna steal that. Like it's
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
But TikTok became, and then everything kind of copied everything else too, because it all became stories, which again is like a quick thing. You can just tap through stories, and it's all like it just disappears so fast. So it comes and goes so fast. There's always new things on stories, just like on TikTok. Like everything's new, and there's a million things, and it's always like it's like tailor made for you somehow.
Yeah.
Like in some crazy way. Like you don't realize how crazy that is until you see someone else's TikTok, and you're like, holy shit! Like what the fuck does
Holy
it show
shit.
you, dude?
Yeah, like what's
I don't see
going
any of
on
this.
in your head? I do not see any of this. That's why I don't love looking at men's pages because I'm literally like, you guys can't help it, and I'm like, you can't help what post you're lingering on, and then they're like, oh, you like that butt?
Yeah.
We're doing butts. Like, and it's just like I can't. I'm like that's because it's like mine is you liked that cooking video that you're never gonna cook. We're gonna do cooking videos, and it's like yeah, sure, I'm addicted too, but it's like it's far less embarrassing when you scroll through.
That's real. That's a real phenomena because I've seen so many dudes who like they pull out their phone and it's just ass.
It's just
So
ass.
much
And that's it's been dudes that I find like very sensitive and respectable men that I'm like, wow, to this point I literally don't judge the ass screen because I'm like, you can't help it. Like I get it. Like I also can't help it, but it's like mine is shopping for shoes. Like it's that like cliche. Like
and it's the dopamine thing.
Yeah.
It's what gives them dopamine. It's what gives them excitement in their life. Like they like seeing that.
Yeah.
And the phone knows them
The
that
phone
well.
knows, and that's what the phone knows. I always hated that because when I realized that they have the data on everything, and that broke my brain. When I realized that, and like the data stuff, that was probably in like 2017, and I got a dumb phone for a while. I was literally like, this is like so bad. This is gonna ruin us. Like and I got like a flip phone. Like it was literally everyone was always like, is that your burner phone? Is that your drug phone? And I was like, no, it's just like I'm trying to be different, like and indie. Like I'm just trying to do a thing, and it was totally unfeasible because like even at the time, like I lived in the city, everyone relied on Uber already, and it was like people Ubered and apped, and like the thing that really broke me was I couldn't send like photo messages like at all, and people were like, we communicate with photos like all the time. I would need to do shit like that, and so but it was like so quick. I was back on the smartphone, and I literally felt it. Like I had a very real physical sensation of when I started waking up with my smartphone next to me again and going and scrolling through. As soon as I opened my eyes, my hands would shake. Because it was like I had kind of, and I don't think I fully detoxed at all. Clearly, I didn't make any headway in my little like 7 months with a dumb phone. But I had like gotten it, like I'd gotten not used to just literally like the color and the light of the like good morning. I'm just blasting it. And when I would do it, my hands would shake, and I was like, dude, this whatever is releasing is real and chemical with this device, and like it, and then I'm not in control of it, I'm not in power of it now, but it was a real thing to realize. And that's, I had my phone in black and white for a while because people really say that helps. Like I like got online and was like reading about like phone addiction and this kind of shit, and like
Black and white?
if you literally put your smartphone in black and white, it makes that like dopamine response lower because it's not as fun to like look at all that. It really is. It's like literally
That makes sense. That's
Yeah.
why it makes me laugh. That's actually
Yeah.
a good idea.
It's
if
very
you're trying
lizard
to
brain.
make your phone less attractive.
And like think about it too, because at the time I was like, this will help me, this will motivate me to read more text on my phone instead of looking at images
'Cause it's
because
black
it's
and
not
white.
interesting. Yeah. And it's like then I would have to like work, and I was like, look, if I'm reading if I'm reading on my phone, the screen time can't be that bad. But I was like, because I am someone that will like just pull up and like read. I'll get a novel on my phone and just like I've read a novel lately. No, but like if I'm reading something, I'll put that on my phone because I know I love scrolling. I know I will scroll, especially in public. And if I can reroute that to just reading text, oh, I'm winning. Like that is, I did it that day. I beat Steve Jobs.
I beat you, Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Fucking interdimensional overlords.
Literally.
I won today. I read a book instead.
Literally. I mean, I feel like there's better writers and comedians who have like made that point specifically about Steve Jobs, where it's like you invented all this technology as an antisocial or like socially strange person to make us all more antisocial. You brought us to, you're like, I'm gonna ruin you. You're never going to talk again in the same way because I invented eye bubble dots, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of gangster, though, in that way, too. It's kind of like...
Not even kind of. Like, that's what a mic drop to be like, oh, yeah, I have trouble communicating. Yep. Enjoy just cultural trouble communicating for probably hundreds of years.
Yeah, just destroy humanity a little bit.
I mean,
your way out.
Exactly. In a non-violent, like, sociopathic way. He's like, I'm not even going to kill you. I'm just going to make it hard to date. Like, that's like, it is like, yeah.
Yeah. When did he die? How long ago now? 2013, 2014. Like, it must have been around 10 years ago now.
I think, that must have been the era. I'm literally trying to remember Halloweens. That's how I'm trying to remember this. I'm like, it must have been a big Halloween costume. And I think I didn't yet live in Chicago. Or did I? That's what I'm trying to remember. Because it was 10 years I've been in Chicago. So... it might have been. I don't remember. I think you're spot on.
If it's longer than 10 years ago, I'd be really surprised. I mean, I guess 2013, if that would be. I feel like it was before, because I graduated high school in 2016. I don't even know. I really don't know. It's a fun mystery. That'll be in the comments. Let us know.
I feel both of us resisting. I'm like, I would look at my phone, but I like don't want to. I want to be pure in the art.
Kind of like not to know right now.
I'm like, isn't this fun?
It happened though.
That was a big thing. Is when IMDb was invented, I used to get mad at my family because they would love live IMDbing all the actors to know everything they'd been in, and I'd be like, wouldn't it be fun to just not know for a while or try to think? If we can remember the movie we've seen them in.
You mean like while they're watching the movie? That's too much. Yeah.
Like we're like set up almost like this, where we're like in the living room watching it, and then we're at the family computer, like, and it bothered me so much because I was like, it's kind of.
What's his name walks on screen though? Yeah. And it just interrupts the entire flow of the movie, right?
But the flow of the movie, and let's experience the pleasure of searching through our memory hole and being like, oh no, I did see her in that one movie. Yeah, I'm right. Yeah. And like, that's how fun. And I was like, no, I'm not letting Google collapse my fun of like remembering which actress I've seen in what.
Yeah, they're killing the fun because you could at least like. For some people, that's a fun game. That's a fun game. They're just taking away from themselves. They do that every time, anytime somebody walks on the. That's too much.
I trained them out of it, but it was when like IMDb like first came out. And it was this exciting thing that was like, oh my god, there's this resource. They'll tell you right away. There's a whole list of everything they've done with their picture.
When you say that, that's fair.
Yeah, no,
because I get what they were thinking.
Yes,
that my line of thinking is fun. Like, oh, now we can finally do this.
Now we have it.
Yeah.
We got it.
But then pretty soon, you're not remembering anybody's face on the movie screen ever. You're like, who's so-and-so? Where's the phone? Where's the computer? And you don't even want to do it anymore. You have to like train yourself away from it. Yeah. You know what's crazy about that too is Google Maps. Because nobody can navigate anymore. Nobody like, it's actually crazy to think about. The people used to use atlases to navigate the country.
I know.
And people still do.
No.
People who don't have phones still do.
Yeah.
But most people don't even like consider this. It's like a crazy thing to think about. I don't know what to do
with that book.
Yeah.
What are you doing with that book? I don't know what to do.
Unless you're like looking at it yourself and then driving, like you need somebody else to help you because there's no way. But yeah, I mean, I can only imagine. I don't know what I'm doing with that book either.
No.
It's a nightmare. I've probably had a couple nightmares about that, pull an atlas out and it's just...
You're like, what am I doing with this? Like,
yeah.
No, and I'm just old enough to remember even just like printing off directions from MapQuest.
Yep.
And even that being like the most stressful experience as a teenager with my mother, trying to be like, okay, I just need you to drop me off at my friend's house. And I'm like, trying to tell her where to turn with the printed things, and like we're out of ink and I can't read this one, and it's just like it was like we had the biggest MapQuest dramas, and I'm like, if I had been born like even probably 6 or 7 years earlier, I would have had to like look at a map for even anything. Like I would have had to look at a map, but that's the thing everyone gets romantic about, and I am romantic about it, of the landline. And when you made plans, you had to make the plans. You had to keep the plans. And if you didn't show up, I wondered what happened to you. And that, the fact that I don't get to live in that world, because I'm like, especially for dating, on the landline, no, really, it's the perfect test. All I need to do is test if you will show up at a given place at a given time.
Yeah.
With the phone, we're always going to I can see what you're doing, or I can ask you what you're doing, or no.
Like you post on your Instagram story.
Yeah, it's like, you didn't show up, and now I see, like, you're at something. It's like, okay, no, nope, landline. He didn't show. Wonder what happened. Okay. I can stay here, have dinner or not. Like, it's just like, you are just coordinating with each other. And like, it's like, we don't have to navigate. And we also don't have to like coordinate with each other very well.
Yeah. And that would be, it's actually like, it makes for better people probably to have people have to stick to something like that. Cause now you kind of can just like, you can do. I think people are a lot more loose nowadays than they would have been 20 years ago with things, because you had to show up. Like they're waiting at the railroad for you for fucking 3 hours, dude.
Yeah.
Like you're not there.
You're not there, and we don't know where you are, and we have no way of getting to you if you're not in your home.
Like we waited for you at the railroad, dude. We went to your house. You weren't at your house.
I think what I'm craving is the drama.
Yeah.
I'm literally just craving that high level of drama.
I had a touch of that when I was in school, because I was like, I said, or I think already, that I graduated 2016. So like I think that's right before everything really, because again, if the simulation's collapsing on itself, like we're approaching, like it's exponential. Okay. So with the point I'm at on that timeline, like I feel bad for kids nowadays because it's a different world than when I was in school. But my point being that it was still a little bit of that. Like there was still, like, at least with my friends where I grew up, it was still nice. I still had like a little community, and it was right before, it was like Facebook was just starting and MySpace was a thing right before that. Like it wasn't too much.
It wasn't too much. Yes, exactly. We were all like, this is a fun thing we could plan a party with. Like it was like, oh, fun. I can like check out my friend's music. Like that's cool. Like, yeah. And that's because I so associate that with like, I got a Facebook when I started high school and a smartphone when I finished high school.
Yep.
So it's like, for me, it's like the adolescent development is just capped with like, okay, we were just kind of experimenting with Facebook. And then by the time I got to college, it was just like, Facebook is just how you did things. Like it was just it was like totally saturated.
Yeah.
And then because that's why I even feel bad for you a little bit, because when I was like first starting to like go out and like try to like be like just a person or like creative, it was like 2015, 2016, and everyone was always like, oh yeah, the party's over. Like it was very like, the vibe was like, oh yeah, the party's kind of over. Like we kind of did it. We did our 2010s thing, and now I don't know, things are just kind of weird. Like it was a weird time, and that is, I could identify that there was like a definite start of collapse at that time. Like it was like, because it was just things were weird, things were loose, and and every time I was like anywhere, it was like music scene or like even theater, or even people who did like slam poetry were some of the people who were telling me that. They were just like, yeah, we had our fun. Like it was just kind of like, yeah, we had our fun, and then shit just progressively got weirder until COVID reset it. Because it was like 2018, 2019, I think, are some of the weirdest years ever, and we're gonna forget. Oh yeah, and like,
why?
Personally, I was in a weird space, and so like I was like going to therapy for the first time, and I was sort of like, I was working like all odd jobs, and I just felt like every job I had, I was like, this is not even a real business. This doesn't make sense. How is anyone making money? Like every day, I commuted downtown every day, and I thought downtown was already starting to be a little weirdly empty, and I was always in downtown when it was empty, and I was like, okay, this is weird. Like, yeah, I'm trying to think of something more specific about, but it was just like, even just, I would go to nightclubs, and like the whole vibe of like drag queens and everything, and like, because it was like, with drag queens and drag at that time, it was like RuPaul had so fully saturated that like drag wasn't even like cool or edgy anymore. And there was this way that like a lot of those people were like, yeah, the party's kind of over. Shit went mainstream, and now it's a different beast than it's ever been. And things used to be very, and it was, I guess, and maybe that is just us like a staple of any like especially nightlife scene where there's always going to be just like old heads hanging around being like, this just happened, it was so great when I was cuter, like don't you worry, like it's already done, baby girl. Like there's always going to be somebody saying that. But yeah, there was just like a bunch of cultural things going on at that time for me, especially though too, because I was also just in psychoanalysis, so I was like, I felt like I could notice everything. I was like constantly watching like any just the most I would like just seek out any like I would Google like, have you seen the movie what am I thinking of? Dogtooth?
No.
It's just like, it's a fucked up movie, and it's just like, I saw one fucked up movie.
Sounds familiar.
It's kind of one of those movies where it's like, it's very much like on Reddit, or like if you've seen it, people are like, oh, you've seen it. Like, oh yeah, like somebody will show it to you, like when you smoke like 3 bongs, somebody's like, hey, you want to see a weird movie?
Is it as bad as the Serbian film? Is what it's called?
No, so it's not nearly as brutal in that genre.
Okay.
But there's definitely like fucked up sex happening, but like it kind of, it's like, it bends your mind. It's not brutal at all. I don't even think it's that like pornographic. It's just bizarre, like conceptually, and like it makes some fascinating points. And that was like, I saw that movie and then just started constantly watching any movie. I was like, and that was the thing, is I would like come across the Serbian film on all the lists that I was looking at, because I was trying to find anything like just shocking and to like break my brain open, because it just, there was this, I just had such a feeling about that time that even like the memes felt like very broken brain. Like everybody was just like, okay, we've been going, the 2010s are running out, and we've done a lot here. And it was just, I don't know, it was like, I felt so hypersaturated with YouTube, where it was like everybody was talking about YouTube all the time at that time.
Yeah.
It was just such a weird, it was just a weird time.
Wow. And it only progressed from there, right?
Oh, yeah.
It only
I feel
gets
like-
weirder.
I feel
Like,
like
no
it-
one would have predicted 2020 following those 2 years, right?
No, literally. And like, oh my God, and we don't even have to get into it, but I had a bad 2020 New Year's.
Okay.
And I remember like posting, just like artsy girl stuff on Instagram, where like I posted a bunch of trash and was like, welcome 2020, like this is gonna be the worst year ever. And it was like, girl, I called it. Like I called it, because it was like, that was my mood, that was my vibe. I was like, collectively, ew, we are all just like wet trash. Like, this is so gross. I hate everything. And then I was like, oh yeah,
You're a
damn,
prophet.
damn.
You're a prophet.
I wish I wasn't. I wish I was wrong.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, I am a little bit more, especially after just like pandemic and then like what I went through personally. I'm very, not even maybe because of that, but just very like, oh, I gotta be optimistic, because like they're not gonna do it for me. Like nobody else is gonna believe in me at all. And like if I do walk around like being like, we're wet trash, which is how I felt for most of my life, and like so much of my like trying to become myself in Chicago, I was like, oh yeah, trash, this sucks, everything sucks, we're all gonna die, do whatever you want because it sucks. And now I'm a little like, we're gonna die, do whatever you want because it's like fun, like it's just like, at least just like, yeah, you get to do what you want, dude. Like freedom and like that shit is fun.
With like, dude, people don't realize America is a great opportunity for that. Like people really do forget that. Like it is the place that fosters that particular mindset. Like just do what you want because you can do what you want. Like other places aren't quite like that.
Well, culturally, no.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
if they've adopted an attitude like that, that's a new thing. Because
Yep.
culturally,
We
historically,
were the one to do it historically, is to say like, hey, you just do you, and that's cool.
and that's cool.
Yeah, and that's probably a good way to think about things, right?
That's-
and so yeah, like it's to me, I feel like 2020 probably displaced everybody in a strange way. It probably like everybody was probably at a certain point, and then like somehow you had to shift
Because you had to respond. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it
exactly.
was like there was no response. There was no person. I mean, maybe there was, and I'd love to meet them and interview them. But I don't think there's a single person whose daily life was not at least radically changed for 14
well,
days.
there's like some guy who lives in the forest.
For sure.
There's
and
some
like, and
guy.
he's fascinating to talk to for a number of reasons, like, yes. But it's like, if you are at all living within society, you were changed at least. Like, it's like, even the people who, there were people who legally had to stay home from work for 14 days, went right back. They were still impacted and had to respond, and it was different. And so it's like, I do feel like that was such a reset And then the 4 years to me feels like high school where we redid it. Cause like, and especially but I liked that you said displaced because it's like we were all asked to stay home. So it was almost like you were replaced in your private place.
Yeah.
And then you had to like figure out, okay, not only like survive, but like what do you even like doing? Like what do you like, and like what does work like look like to you? Because like now everybody's just doing it on the computer.
Yeah.
What does your office mean if it's not a place that you go? And like that was like, it was like place, and like that was, I just saw a picture of the metaverse that Facebook tried to launch in 2020 and how that looked and how hilarious it looks now. Like it like completely like failed and like how blocky and weird it was. But it was this weird gesture to like make a place to be.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was so weird. I mean, it looked like Roblox.
So like my whole conspiracy brain, of course, all of that's happening. I'm thinking like, this is where it happens. This is where they get us all on the phones and we never ever get off of them again.
That's how I felt too. That is so how I felt. I was having such a meltdown because I was literally just like, they're the phone. Like when everybody watched Tiger King,
Yeah.
I was literally like, oh no, this is it now. Like we've all discovered the joy of binging something together.
Collective experience.
Collective binge.
Yeah.
And now that we've had our collective binge and our state mandated DoorDash,
Yep.
why would anyone do anything else? Like it was
Now
like,
look at how many people do DoorDash now. Like that was probably the point when DoorDash became a big thing, is right there.
yeah, because I remember too that like when I'm trying to remember the first app. I think it was Postmates, the first one we used in college, and it was like such a like a luxury. We're college students. We were not normalized to it at all. That it was just like, you're gonna pay someone to bring you that through an app.
I still think that.
And I think you should. Like, we should not get really comfortable with this being a daily occurrence. Now, when I'm like busy and doing shit, I am a puff addict, okay? I am getting close to like racking that up a couple times a week. I'm having people bring me shit all the time. And I am disturbed by how little I'm disturbed by it. You know? Because I'm just like, you don't have a lot of money and you're paying someone to do that and you're paying a fee that you can afford. So you know that sucks for them. Like, you know you wouldn't take that job unless you absolutely had to because you can afford it, which is not how it's ever been. I should not be able to afford a guy on a bike. Like, a guy on a bike is for like a Manhattan like housewife. Like, not for me. Like, I should not be able to be like, you go get my package. Like, that's crazy.
That's the new world. That's the brave new world we live in. It's a beautiful place. I mean, in ways, it's nice. In ways, it aligns with that freedom principle, right? Like, at least there's that dude on that bike who can ride his bike and make money if he wants.
Exactly. And
that's actually kind of nice.
And that is something, it's like, I never want to, like, when I say I love America, it's not because I don't know that people are suffering or it's hard to work here. But we get to work here and we get to try. And the way that we try is so uniquely obnoxious and wonderful at the same time that it is. It's like, and that's the thing is, I think that's what's so hard right now because it's like when you talk about somebody who is your DoorDash driver and it's like, it's so often immigrants who so have an idea that there is opportunity to like live well, and we're like, oh wait, no. Baseline, nobody can afford healthcare, but you can break your body on the bike all you want. We need the burger delivered, and it's like that to me is like, it's like, I have to love America because I love it like an abusive boyfriend. Like, it's like, I know it's going to hurt me and I know it's hurting people, but it's literally like, I love you because you lie so good. You lie so good.
Shout out all my dishwashers that are not legally registered in this country.
Literally. And like the people who make, especially living in a city, it's like you make every experience that makes living in a city worth it. Like this restaurant workers specifically, but like also everyone who, fucking grinds and is like, okay, I did this so I can like make my own money, which I can make a lot more money here than ever. And we're like, yeah, I know. And if anything were to happen to you,
It's on you.
that's so you. And it's going to be an amount of money that we know you couldn't make in 5 lifetimes. But like, thanks.
Yeah.
Or gracias. We're not racist. Like, it's literally, we're like, we're not racist. We don't care if you live or die, but we're going to have a national conversation about racism. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. And that's like, I genuinely am like, that's what I love about America. Like, it's like, because you think about it culturally too, we're one of the only places who is like, kind of like, actually has a cultural conversation of being like, there is not a superior race in this country. The normal thing is like you live in Japan, Japanese people are the best.
That's a good
You live
point.
in Sweden, Swedish people are the best. That's how the rest of the world lives. We're the only one with the wacky idea that's like, what if different people could work together? Like, we're going to make our whole thing on it. Like, it's really beautiful. Does it mask that we started our country the year Britain outlawed slavery? Because people were like, oh, damn, 1773? Britain doesn't let us own slaves anymore? Huh. It'd be really nice to go own slaves somewhere. America. Like, and that's like the dirty, ugly, super racist truth of it. But then on top of it is, like, I mean,
I didn't know that Britain did that. So.
no one, and then, here's what's crazy. It's not, we don't like to highlight that correlation in our history books.
Yeah.
You could imagine why. And the only reason I even know that is because I was like, raised in like really Christian high school and like youth group kind of thing. And Christians are really into the story of the guy who wrote the song Amazing Grace because he was an abolitionist. Like, he genuinely was like a British guy who was like, nah, like, I'm a Christian. We can't own people for real. Like, this is not chill. So obviously they love him and hold him up as a hero. And it was like, I was watching, they like made me watch like a Hollywood movie about this guy. And I was like, yo, 1776, like it was 1773 to 1776 was like this era of like when they were outlawing it. I was like, wait, that's literally our year. Like,
Yeah.
I was like that, and it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah,
Well, in like the myth of America, where if you're like an American and America is good and perfect and does nothing wrong, then you would think that, like, of course, America is the one who invented no slavery. So like that's what
that's
what's
what we
presented.
say. That's
Yeah.
what we wrote in the book. We're like, yeah, we totally invented that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We like invented no racism. Like, we had Martin Luther King Jr. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we did
How
it.
could we be racist?
How could we be racist? And that's the thing. It's the double-edged sword of America, which is why I genuinely love America, because
Yeah.
it's wacky people who are like, oh, yeah. There's like a deep seed of evil here. So the yin of that is us going to be like, no, we're trying so hard. We are America. We swear. Like, you can be any color. We swear. Like, we want to all be different. We are the melting pot. We swear. Like, they're trying so hard. And it's like, it's a, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. It's just people making the best of evil, but it is. It's like, it's a truly, yeah, it's a flip. It's a flip.
Yeah. I wonder how much of it is even like real or manufactured, like all the people not wanting to get along. Like, I wonder
Yeah.
where all that really comes from, because like, I don't think most people don't want to get along.
Yeah.
I think like social media presents an easy way for things to, like, it's almost because of that dopamine thing, because you're naturally drawn to like shocking things or divisive things. And
Yes.
so like news outlets learn this, and then they start reporting in that kind of way. And now everything is like, everybody feels so torn on everything. They feel like they can't say things, but like the truth is everybody is probably just trying to hang out.
Trying to hang out.
That's usually what
Yeah.
people want. You talk to anybody, they're like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
almost every time.
Yeah, I would say the average is you have the hypersocial, the antisocial, and like most people want to hang out with 2 to 5 people that
Yeah.
they enjoy at any given time. They just want to be kind of included, but kind of choose to be included because they like the vibe, and that's it. And
Yeah.
and it is. It's like. I get romantic about like American neighbors and things like that, but like think about it. It's like we don't need even like our neighbors and like the people in our community to entertain us anymore because
Yeah.
we have like all the entertainment we could want without leaving the house. And so it's like if you think about it, and I don't even mean like entertainment capital E. I mean like it's 5 o'clock on a Wednesday. There's nothing else for me to do besides knock on the door and see if Bob wants to have a beer. Like, and then we're gonna talk, and these are gonna be people I care about and work with, and like. We are one of the only countries in the world where you could have that be a block. Like, the American dream, like melting pot in my head is like a block of people who all moved there for opportunity and have different backgrounds and are just like, yeah, we work in a similar place, we have a similar amount of money, and we do similar stuff.
Well, you've been in
And-
Chicago for 10 years.
Yeah.
So you've experienced, did you live in a city before that or no?
No, I was from Indiana. So I lived in like a suburb, and as I say all the time, is that I'm from Northwest Indiana, so it's a suburb of Gary. So it's a suburb of a suburb.
Yeah, okay. So
No,
like,
no, but like I'm from Munster, Indiana, which is like the most like, it's a very just like white suburb, middle class. It's actually gotten fancier since I left, which is like, it's like, I'm very like, this is not good for my origin story. Like we did not have all of these chain restaurants when I lived here. It was much less developed, but that's fine. But it's like a really like, and that's the high school is like pretty fancy. And it was a weird thing for me because like I was going to go to this like weirdly fancy high school that was a public high school, and my parents were too afraid I was gonna sex, drugs, rock and roll. So they sent me to Christian school, and so I actually went to high school in Lansing, Illinois. So I used to drive across the state border to go to high school every day, and I ended up going to like this like weird little Christian school that was weirdly like racially and like class a little bit diverse because it was all these people fed in from, it was the Christian school that took everybody who wasn't Catholic. So you could be like Presbyterian, Catholic, you could do any of the things that weren't Catholic. So there was like a lot of different kinds of people who were like Baptist or like whose parents were even just like kind of conservative, and they weren't super churchy, but they didn't want to be like in a like public school.
okay.
So it was this weird actual like American melting pot. Like, and I literally feel so cheesy even saying that, but it was this weird little like where everyone was a little bit different, but the similarity being we're all like in this like pretty intense like Christian church, and it was like very like Jesus. Like I was very like devout believer, and there was definitely people, and there was definitely like fun and like parties and like things happening and people who were not so like devout and into the Jesus, but I was not invited. Like it was very devout and weird. So yeah, and I don't know, but it was a weird place because I have a lot of respect for like a lot of those Christians like kind of taught me, and like I had like a very like sort of like radical Christian professor who was like giving us like what was what's the People's History of the United States? Do you know that book?
No.
It's just like, it's kind of like a like intro one of like rethink what you learned, kid. Like he was very like that. He was very like when the Trayvon Martin was that the first? Yeah, when the Trayvon Martin incident happened, I believe I was still in high school, if I'm remembering it correctly. And he was like, he like stopped class and had us do like debates, and like he was very like, if you're a Christian, you should care about racial issues in this country. You should care about poverty in this country. And like a lot of that came from like that experience because I was in like a very, very isolated like little place in Indiana, and then I like drove 15 minutes over the border every day and like went to this place that like I always like blame for like being so like regressive and Christian and like repressive and all these things, but really it was like an experience. It was the first kind of experience of here's a mixture of people. Like I even had a friend who like lived in Oak Park. Like her family was just like tied to the school. They commuted every day, and like I would go like to Oak Park and she like took me out to dinner, and was just like, it was like I experienced a lot of Chicago even then because I have a couple friends who went to high school downtown.
Like how long would it take for you to get there?
So like I could take the South Shore train, and it's like a 35-minute train.
Oh, that's
so,
not bad.
I was 35 minutes downtown. Like, actually, yeah, we're in the perfect geographic location where if we're far enough north in the city, like I grew up closer to the Loop than like we are now.
Okay.
So like, yeah, it's like geographically close, and that's why it's like kind of one of those sleeper cities where a lot of people commute and like just live there, like because it's cheaper with the property taxes.
Way
and things.
cheaper.
Yeah, yeah.
Even just the amount of space you get.
Although rent wise in 2024, not really.
Really?
Isn't that, I was looking at moving back because I was like, it was weirdly tossed around for a while, and like not that much cheaper, like a little bit, but like not that much.
Wow.
Yeah, Whiting especially. Like I'm from like Munster, Hammond, Whiting. These are all like little shout out, shout out,
throw up your W's.
Yeah, and NWI, but those are like little areas like where I remember I looked at the rent like a couple years ago because I was like, yeah, maybe and it wasn't that much less. And I was like, growing up, I was like, oh yeah, I mean, it'd be nothing to live like in Whiting, and it's like, no, it's like pretty nice.
Really?
Like I like literally, yeah.
And again, it ruins the origin story. When
It
you look at it,
does.
you're like, oh, this isn't
this isn't what it. No, people are gonna look at this.
Exactly.
She came from where?
I know. Well, and that was the thing too, is that like I was from such a small community, but even within the community, you know, it was a pretty small, mostly white community, and there was the like ladder of like who lived on the golf course,
Yeah.
and who lived like over there by the grocery store in Whiting. Like it was like
It's
it was
segregated.
literally, well, not even just like the class markers of like, okay, we all are pretty close in bracket. We live in Indiana,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but there
gotta-
was still totally.
You gotta
all
divvy
of
it up
the-
somehow.
Oh yeah,
You
what do
got-
they have? How nice is that? Oh, do they have a lake house? We don't.
Yeah, and then you become like a hater. Everybody becomes a hater at some point in their lives. Like that's
my
a good
God.
place to start is neighborhood drama. You know,
my God.
that's a good place to start. I
I
guess.
love neighborhood drama. Again, apps ruining everything. You know that app?
Kids these days don't know about that neighborhood drama.
Well, no, there's when they put the neighborhood drama online, it's never as good. And that one app, Citizen, always tells me they're going to tell me what's going on in my neighborhood. And I have been many times standing at my window, looking at police lights, looking at an arrest happening, and I'm like checking the Citizen app. I'm like, give me the drama, like give me the deets, you promised. And it's like they're telling me about some shit that happened 7 miles away. No one's
I'm not trying to
telling
hear
me.
about this guy that got shot. I'm looking at this right in front of me.
I'm like, get me the scanner. Like, I wanted the drama. I want to know what's going on. I watched somebody, there was like a paddy wagon of people getting arrested outside of my job like 2 days ago. No details. Nobody came in and told me. What, are we even a country? Like, just there was like 6 like people in their 30s, like just all handcuffed in the van. I'm like, okay, just tell me the story.
Where I work, it's nice because there's giant glass windows. So if anybody gets arrested in front of the window, you see everything. And like all the customers will turn their heads over and they're just watching the arrest happening outside. It's happened at least twice while I've worked there.
See, and before I'm a writer, before I'm a performer, before I'm anything, I am just a creep who like likes to watch this shit. Like I am a people watcher so hard. Literally last night, I watched a couple fight and like it was kind of a quiet street and they were like walking the same direction and then ended up walking off in different directions, like fully like being like, no, we're not doing this. It was the best part of my night. It was so good, and it was because it was very quiet.
Are you sure that's what it was? Like you heard their
because
conversation?
I was behind them. And like the thing is, I didn't hear the conversation because it was very quiet. But this is all body language, and it was very much like they clearly had leftovers from a restaurant they had just been at together. And then she kind of goes, they go to turn a corner because I was also turning this corner, and she turns him, and he kind of like resists her a little bit, and she goes, "We're going home." And he kind of like, he just like has this real like masculine kind of like shrug off. And she sees it and she goes, "Oh," and hands him the shit. And he holds the bag, looks at her and goes, "What do you want me to say?" and then she did nothing. And I'm like walking, and you gotta know, I was like paces behind them. So I'm like walking in slow-mo. "What do you want me to say?" was like the only thing I even got close enough to hear. But I was like walking in slow-mo, trying not to pass them because I'm like, I just want to see how this ends. And it just ended with he walked off with the bag and she stood there and it was like, I literally was like, because I looked back, because I had to look back. I was like, oh, I have to pass her. It was like happening. And she stood there and I was like, oh yeah, she's probably gonna get out her phone or something like that. No. She stood there for a while. She just looked down and she just stood there and was like clearly processing it. I was like, oh, I need this. And that's the thing is, could have made this all up in my head. I don't care. It was an earth-ending fight and it was delicious to me. And it was the best thing that happened to me. I was like, this is
You
makes
saw like
my
the
day.
tip of the iceberg too.
Exactly. No, exactly. And that was the thing too, and you serve, so you know too. It's like they'd been having this fight at the restaurant probably for like an hour. You know what I mean? Like, what was the fight?
He could have just like told her, "Hey, I think we need to take a break," and that was him taking her out to eat, like to tell her to break the news. Like, "Hey, I think we're taking a break." Like that was where he broke the news to her. So like the whole time she's just kind of like confused and heartbroken, and then at the very end she thinks that she's going home with him, and he says like, "What are you talking about?"
I just told you we're done.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
That's my
Oh,
prediction.
That I love that theory. I love
Because
that.
why else
backstory,
would
yeah.
she stand there and process it?
No,
too?
she
Like,
was
she's probably
literally
like, "Oh shit! Like
processing.
I'm single. Like I'm sad. Like I got this food now, and that's it."
Oh yeah, she was very like, we're gonna talk about this at home, and he's like, well, I'm not even going home. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Have you ever had that though as a server where you can tell that it was like you put their order in, and then there's clearly a conversation that had to happen before the food comes, and the energy is just different when you bring it back?
know. It's a good question. I feel like I've seen a guy cry once, but I don't think I've ever seen like a big change during that. That's a good question though, but I don't think I've had that happen. I have seen people cry. I think I saw a guy sitting by himself cry once, and that was kind of sad.
Oh, that is sad.
You just gotta be nice though.
Yeah, no, I was always so nice to the people who sat by themselves because I was also just like so doing the math. I was like, look, you're only one person. I have to be so nice to you to make me walking to this table worth my like dollars because I'm gonna need you to 30% tip because you're not gonna order very much.
I know for a fact. He's getting pancakes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I show love to all my OGs going to the restaurants by themselves. All right.
Oh, yeah.
We don't get enough love out here.
I do. I encourage it. I do. What an experience.
Yeah. Actually, yes.
It's great.
It's like taking yourself on a date. It's actually nice.
It's really nice.
People hate on it, and it's actually something you should do sometimes.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like I feel my mom has said this to me because she, like a lot of people in my family, they'll have kids early and then their whole life becomes revolved around this thing of having kids and having a family, and then they just fall into their life.
Yes.
Whereas like I never had that, and she like asks me like, do you like being alone sometimes? I'm like, oh my God, like you don't she doesn't experience that. She's never alone by herself.
I think about that all the time because it's like my sister briefly lived alone before she got married, and now she has a kid, and I talk about her with that where it's like you're just not alone. Like there's no like space for you to be like, okay, today I don't want to talk to anybody. That's not your life. You have a husband and a kid, like they have to talk to you.
Yeah.
It's like
and like you can even like, but you just need to find time at that point too.
Yeah,
because like you need to be alone sometimes.
Oh my gosh,
you can't never be alone. Maybe there's some mutant people that I'm actually wrong, and there are people who can always like they're social animals and they need to be with people. Maybe they exist. I
feel like I've met them and they suck. You know what I mean? Like they could really benefit from like some making peace with some alone time.
You just become it's because it's a codependent thing at a certain point. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of sad. Like, but it's kind of amazing to me too because like I'm amazed by it. I'm like, you don't like that? You don't do that?
Yeah.
Or like you don't think about doing that? Like, I don't know. I would find a way to do it. If I had like a bunch of people around me all the time, I would go for walks at least. Yeah. Like I would figure something out.
Oh my gosh.
Go to the gym or something. Somewhere you can be away, and I'd go out to eat by myself.
Go out to eat by yourself, or top tier, go to the movies by yourself.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Cannot recommend enough because that was something I had trouble with. Was like when I was with my ex, I was with her for a long time, and we lived together. So I had never been like I had never really. I had spent time alone when she was at work, and then I would go to work, and so it was just very like I didn't know what to do with my evenings or my time. And I got the movie pass where like you pay monthly, and I
wait. So explain that, the movie pass.
I don't know if movie pass is even the brand name anymore, but I did it through which one was it? The Regal. I did it through the Regal one, which it ended up not being that good of a value for money because I didn't keep up with it as much. But the first like 3 months, I was out at the movies like twice a week, just like seeing whatever I wanted. I would double feature. I'd walk out. I was like, it didn't matter because I'd already paid monthly, and it was just like pure pleasure of there's no one else watching this movie with me. Like it does not matter if I want to go take like this is a real thing. If I want to go take a lap during Spider-Man and like play like the claw machine and then like come back and like watch the end of Spider-Man, like I'm not offending anybody. No one else is watching it. It's like the most fun. That's my favorite one because it's such a date place. I feel like people don't. It's so like you go to a date, like to the movies on a date. But once again, best people watching. You can watch the dates. You can sit in the back like a creep, watch people sit down with their dates, which doesn't really happen anymore because we all select our seats in advance, which does kind of blow. But when I had the movie patch, I did love selecting my seat in advance because I would scope for empty theaters. I would literally like look and see, like I would wait until like 10 or 15 minutes before the movie and like look, and if there were no tickets, then I'd go. I'd be like, okay, sick, I'm going. Nobody else is there. And it was one time, it was actually incredibly weird, and I left the movie, and I was really high, so I was definitely just like overthinking it, but another guy came in and I felt so awkward.
This was supposed to be my theater.
I was so mad. I was so offended.
What
And
are you doing, your asshole?
and then I couldn't get over it. You know, I was like hi and I couldn't get over it. And then I felt awkward and tense with him. And I was like, I don't even think this man like even cares that I'm here. You know, he didn't even notice. But it was like I couldn't deal with it. I was so mad. I like hated the movie, walked out. A couple of friends have told me, they're like, I really think you would have liked that movie. And I didn't remember what the movie was called. Like it was some weird movie. And I was like, this is weird. I don't like this. I'm uncomfortable. And now there's one other person here. And it ruined my day.
Yeah. What a nightmare. Yeah. And what, you don't remember with the movie though?
No, it was some weird movie because it was the year was 2022 because that was that would have been the year, and it was literally like no one was in it. It was a strange concept, and it was about death, and everybody was like already dead and at like a halfway house in like a weird like memory desert. It was very weird. Like it was like, and I thought like, okay, I love a weird movie, like, and I love death, I love all this, but it was like the concept I like didn't buy in. Once again, I think maybe because I was annoyed at the other patron, I couldn't buy in, and I like left. That was, I didn't leave a lot of movies on the pass because I'll see it through, but that one I left, and I think there was a couple. What was the other one I left? Spider-Man, I just took a lap. I was like, I want to see them kiss. That's the only reason. I don't care. I was like, I don't care about
Which
Marvel
Spider-Man?
movies. It was the one with Zendaya and Tom Holland.
But the
and-
newest, like when it just became Tom Holland, right?
Yeah. Well, yes. It was all the Spider-Mans were in it. It was like Tobey
Okay.
Maguire was in
Oh,
it.
you're
It was
talking- oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it was the summer one. I really could not follow because I had no context. And I was like, I haven't seen a Marvel movie in literally years. But I was like, I got the pass. It's out. They're hot. I'll watch it. And I took a laugh and I was like, I'm going to go back. I want to see the end. I want to do
Yeah.
it. But that movie was long. That movie was really long.
It was okay though. Like for the standard that like Marvel has been doing, like that was one of those ones because they like placed their bets on certain movies, and that was one of the big ones where it like
Yeah.
had to be good because
Yeah.
they were doing this multiverse thing. You're bringing back Tobey fucking Maguire,
Yeah.
like that's a
I
great.
was bought in. Yeah,
That's
I was
what got
bought
me.
in.
Really, what Tobey Maguire is what got me. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well they're bringing him back, like that's cool, and they had the old villains back, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Who else? Willem Dafoe. That's
Willem
another
Dafoe.
fun one to bring back.
He's so fun.
Yeah, he's fun. Yeah.
I love him so much. What did I just watch him in? What did I just watch? I love him so much. I can't remember. Oh. It's not Poor Things, but that was my other favorite movie this
I
year.
want to see that. I watched.
Really
I
worth
think
it.
I watched the first like 20 minutes.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, and it's very my taste. Like
I didn't
saw
turn it off because I didn't like it. I just
Yeah.
got busy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is, it's a lot to pay attention to, but highly recommend the book.
Oh, it's
especially
based
if you're
on a book?
watching. It is based on a book, and that is why I got so into it because I listened to the audiobook, and then I was like, this is wild. And like the audiobook is this like Scottish feminist from the 90s, but it is a man. But he was like, I'm gonna write this like. He really was literally like, I just want to do feminist Frankenstein, and he like does that, and then he writes from her perspective and like writes her diaries, and it's just like a wild story. Like it's a good old novel where it's like and the movie does not go into half of what she is, just like the coolest adventurer you've ever imagined. And he was like, that's it. I just want to write about like a badass lady who like goes across Europe and like and this is all not in the movie, but she like messes up all these marriages because she's sleeping with both of them and like doesn't care. And it's just like, and I was like, this is everything to me. Like this is a wild thing. And like the movie's great and like gets at a lot of the other fun stuff in the book, but the book worth it for the
Interesting.
adventures. This is literally, it was just like, and that's why at the time it was held up as super feminist because it was just like the most sexually liberated female character he could imagine. He's like, no, she's just gonna have no shame for a second. Like that's what female Frankenstein does. Like, yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Interesting.
He was great in that.
Was
but-
it the same with the brain thing? With like the brain comes from?
Yeah, it's all the same. It's the exact same concept, and you'll actually piece it together perfectly if you watch it. Because there's just like there's a piece of her life where she's traveling, and the book is mostly that where she's traveling. And it's her diaries, and it's like this wild thing.
I see.
But the first like act of the book is the setup with this brain, and like it being that he puts the baby brain in the big girl, and that's why it is. I had a recent conversation about how it's a little sexually creepy. Like, what is like? It's literally the concept is it's a baby's brain in an adult woman's body, and
Yeah.
like she's like definitely having sex. But the book gives it that novel delicateness where there is just it was so supposed to be like she had the time and space to grow up. He raised her and like gave her magical sci-fi like brain growing drugs that she like definitely like progressed faster than you would think. So she was an adult within like a couple months. It wasn't like her first 18 years or her first 18 years. So they really cover that in the book. They're like, mentally, she did become an adult before all the fun. Like, it's very spelled out.
The movie doesn't do that, though.
No, the movie's like kind of hot, right? Like, the movie is very like kind of hot, right? Which was another thing that was on my brain breaking movies. Was I back-to-backed the Lolitas? Talk about a movie that's like kind of hot, right?
I haven't seen that.
So very fun thing to do to back-to-back the original Kubrick and then the 90s one. Because the original Kubrick is the one that gets all the flack for being just literally Lolita, which is, it's the novel. We get it. There's themes, problematic. But the Kubrick one is so much like, it's really tasteful, and the 90s one is like, oh yeah, you think this is hot, right? Like, I'm like, yo, I think an accurate reading of the novel is not eyebrow raised, and the Kubrick one is not eyebrow raised. The 90s one, it is full on like, oh yeah, like, this is cool. Like, and it's like, wait, no, the point is this is not cool. Like, old guy, little girl, not cool.
Yeah.
But the 90s one, I was like, whoa, there is no way. You guys just kind of were like, let's make a hot movie. Let's just be edgy. Let's just do it. Let's just make it hot. Like, and it's like, it's not great. It's not great. It's not a bad
That's what it
film.
lived on for, though, right? Is being that. Yeah.
And it's not a bad film. Good performances, good directorial choices. But it was just so shocking to me. It like broke my brain because I watched them back to back, and I was like, dude, the original is not, it's not at all being like, this is a cool, hot, horny thing. And the 90s one, there's no doubt in my, like, there's just, there's no evidence. Like, there are definitely scenes where you're just like, wait, no, they just genuinely were like, yep, this is titillating. This is cool. We can do this. We're allowed. And it's like,
Interesting.
maybe not.
It's probably just like why Kubrick is Kubrick. Like, he's the only guy who can really do that concept. Because I can't even think of somebody else who could probably put. There's maybe like a couple directors. Like, I think Paul Thomas Anderson, if you're familiar with him, I love that guy. Maybe he could pull something like that off.
I could actually see him being tacky with it, though,
Licorice
too.
Pizza.
I did not.
That movie is like an older girl dating a younger guy. That is what that movie is. And that was not even that long ago. So maybe you could pull that off tastefully, but that's what I'm saying. You need like a legendary director.
You need a legendary director, and especially that novel being like the site of so much controversy about it, when it's like, and that's why I was like, oh my God, the Kubrick one's so good, because he gets at the heart of the novel, which
You know
is
what?
not like, oh, this is cool. It's dudes are lonely. Like,
Yeah, is that really what it is? It's like a solitude thing?
solitude and class. Like, people erase the class element of that a lot, and it's like the older guy is like a college professor who like moves in with this pretty poor family. So it's like, it's also, there's just so much to do with that. He's seeing this like poor little girl, and he's gonna like save her and like cherish her, and the class element is much more to do with the age of it, because it's like, even when he moves into the house in the novel, like, and that's why the Kubrick one really shows this part, which I was like, this is so with the novel, that his mother, like, when he moves in with the mother and the daughter, and the mother is throwing herself at him, and he's not interested. But there's the class motivation of she needs this and she needs the money, and there's a lot more going on with, then he runs off with the daughter, and that being I'm not literary enough to do this well right now, but, and that being more of a power thing, and more, it wasn't about, oh, she's so sexy because she's little. Like, it was, that's not about it.
And that's what the book is doing too?
That's what the book is, so that, and the book is so like male loneliness, male compulsion, like, not, and I would argue, and that's the thing, is it's this arguable kind of hot topic of, it's not about pedophilia. This is a girl who's gone through puberty. There's a very different compulsion here. It's inappropriate for sure, lines crossed for sure, but it's not a book about like a pedophile or like, oh, this is cool. But it gets literally like, it's the title itself has become like synonymous with like pedophile and like child sex, and it's like, none of that is about that. The 90s movie, I was like, I'm getting Epstein Island. I'm getting the vibes. This does seem like you guys want me to be horny for young women. Like, it really was like.
Before you got here today, about 2 hours before, I pulled up TikTok and I was scrolling on there. Like, and I will say I try not to do this. Okay, like I'll scroll for like 4 or 5. I've gotten good at this. Okay, I don't do it anymore. I've wasted too much time on that thing. But anyway, so I'm scrolling on there. I see. Literally, it's like it's giving me a children's swimwear ad, and it's a bunch of little girls. And then so immediately I'm going to the comments, right? And of course, all the comments are like, bro, what?
Yeah. Like, what?
Why are you showing me this?
I know.
Why are you showing me this
Why
right
are you
now?
showing me this
What
right now?
is this?
What is this? And that's why you're like, and that's the thing is it's just like when you try to like, Lolita is a great novel, which is about like the themes that are in novels, human suffering, loneliness, class, everything that's going on. And then when you start like looking around like at Hollywood and you're like, wait, but are they like actually doing that thing? Oh my God. It gets overwhelming. That's the thing is I had to watch the
Shout out P. Diddy.
Shout out P. Diddy. I had to watch the QAnon documentary like that like exposed them as like crazy because I like was getting not in 2020 when it was happening, but it was like when I first started, I was like, oh my God, they are all pedophile lizards in human suits. I think we should maybe march. Like it was just such an easy leap to me because I was like, when like really hyper conservative people like that lead with like, damn, do you notice like it's fully saturated, like child porn is everywhere. I'm like, yeah, girl, tell me more. And they're like, MAGA, let's storm. I'm like, God damn it, like we did it again.
You
like,
had me at child porn.
You had me at there exploiting the children. Like, you had me there. I think you're spot on. Like, I think you really got something there. But yeah, no, and that's why it gets overwhelming. I was literally just telling someone that it's just there's a common thing with OCD where you are worried you're a pedophile because it's just like a dark compulsion and it's an easy thing to like fixate on, like you're worried about it. And I was like, I have always thought about that because I've read about people, I know like personal friends, but just I've known that was an OCD compulsion. And it's like if you had that compulsion and you just tried to walk around the world and just like look at TV shows, billboards, media, and like compulsively are like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, every time you saw something like that, you would start noticing it is every other ad. It is every other TV show. Like it is everywhere. And it's like, I understand how anyone gets down any rabbit hole because it's like, you feed me a little bit. I'm like, I have noticed that. That is fucked up. I didn't like seeing all of that stuff that made my Christian girl come out and go, that's kind of perverted. Why you got her dressed up like that? Why you got her dancing like that? And then it's like, oh yeah. And then they're like, anyway, we'll wait for the next cue drop and we'll go ahead and storm. And I'm like, God, no, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
You just got me going because you're right. There are a lot of these sick patterns and like,
yeah.
It's scary.
So I went to the dentist not so long ago and
Also scary.
I ended up talking to the dentist for about like 6 or 7 hours before I ended up leaving. Like I went around 11 or noon and I left around like 6 or 7. Like it was right around when the sun was going down. And so I got, my teeth done, and then he started talking to me, and like over time, he's telling me about like, he realized I was the type of guy who like would totally listen to everything he has to say. And so he ended up like, I have his number and he sent me a link to, and he was telling me about how like he thinks Trump has been running the government this whole time. Like,
oh yeah.
It was never not Trump. So it was like with Joe Biden and all this stuff you're seeing with Joe Biden, it's actually Trump, and Joe Biden's been signaling the whole time that it is Trump. And of course, like then that guy gets vindicated because like Donald Trump puts on a red hat Joe Biden puts on a red hat. And so all those people who were saying that already are like, he loves him. He loves him. So like, and who knows, maybe the fun part to me is maybe he's right.
No,
that's so fun.
Because it's like, I don't want him to be right. Is that hella plausible? Does that make perfect sense to me? Yeah. Like he's a zombie. That makes perfect sense.
Like somebody's got to be doing it. I mean, we got to fill in the blank here. Who can it be? So there's all kinds of, and then like what was funny about the video he sent me is it was like, because I remember he was hyping it up like it's so informative, it's such an informative documentary. And so like it was one of those like 2-hour long videos telling you why Donald Trump has been in charge the whole time. It's giving you all of the reasons, all of the evidence, like it's laying it all out. And it's just like, and I was telling myself I'm gonna watch the whole thing, but like I don't know, I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah.
I'll say that much. I find it fun though. I find it all to be. That's why I talked to him for 6 hours. I love it, dude.
I am that
It's
person.
the beauty of America.
It is exactly that is the beauty of America, and that's why it's just like everyone's like, "Is election season stressing you out?" I was like, "Stressing me out. I'm having the best conversations with Uber drivers I've ever had. Like, I'm so that way too. It's like I will always be like, oh." And like I will never want to show my cards because I want you to think I agree with you because I want to know exactly how far you want to go with it. Like I gotta know, and it's so fun. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of a good one. There was one guy that he went off and he went in a bunch of different directions because it was like we just started talking about weed, and it's like weed sometimes is a fun one to like. You start by like talking to a stoner, and you're like, yeah, this is just regular stoner talk, and then it is QAnon. Like it's like you feel like it's like. QAnon, or like maybe not even that far, but like very conservative.
I wonder how you get there. Like, what are the steps one must take to make that jump?
I think, well, the one guy I talked to, growing your own weed, and then like he was growing his own weed, and then he was like talking about how he viewed it as a business, and then being a business person, and then being a landowner, and then it was like, and now we're hardcore conservative. Like it was just like, it kind of like, whoop. And then it was very much also that like Wall Street was like, because he was trading, but he didn't trust the trading. It was amazing. He was like, Wall Street is like evil and like all against me, but that's why I'm trading this at this time at like this much. And I was like, okay, that makes perfect sense. Like you are an exiled finance bro who loves pot. Cool. You are a real human being.
I would love to have that guy on the show.
Oh, I know.
Just to pick his brain.
Literally last night.
I'd be like, what stocks?
What stocks?
Why? What stocks and why?
Literally, I would take tips from that stone guy. Are you kidding me? He drives Uber. Come on. He's doing amazing. Although that's the thing is I am very like, at this point, I'm like, I'm starting to think Uber is such a good call because I think the automated driving thing, I think it's gonna we're gonna do it, we're gonna embrace it, and then it's gonna get really scary, apocalyptic bad quickly.
How?
There's just gonna be like one urban pileup with enough actual human collateral that is so shocking that people are like, I can't. I really think this.
You think
I
that's
really
gonna,
think that.
I don't know. Like the statistics that are presented, they say like these cars are more effective than a human would be when it comes to making mistakes. And to me, that makes sense.
True.
So, but maybe you're right. Maybe like one malfunctions, and then all the other ones can't react in time, and that just looks bad. Like, what if that happened on the highway one time?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
One needs to malfunction, and any human car can cause a 50, 100 car pileup. With the traffic around a city like this, that could happen easily. Yeah, that's a good point. That actually could happen. What would people say? I think it would. I think ultimately people would get over it. I don't think it would cause change. Yeah,
I think we're gonna automate or die.
Yeah, that's what I think at this point. Yeah, because like AI and everything, it's like we're so reliant on all this shit now. Like we just trust it that we can't turn around now. Like you'd think we would have a minute ago. Like you'd think like once they put the human robots out, and they're like, hey, these things are gonna be in everybody's house.
The human robots piss me off. It's smoke and mirrors. It's a fucking Wizard of Oz robot that is not really doing what it...
Like the voice is it's from somewhere else. It's not actually talking, you're saying?
Yes. If you're building me a human robot, it is iRobot. I am Will Smith. That thing is fully encapsulated. That thing is a thing. We're doing it. It just does it. If we're doing it, that really made me mad.
What's the difference? Like, what do you mean? Like, how do you get the iRobot one from? Like, what do we have now? Because I don't even know. I only saw the one clip of like when they presented them.
Well, it's just that they don't. I guess it doesn't matter. It just bothers me that it feels like a puppet if somebody is doing it. And I'm like, if somebody's puppeting it, that's just a puppet. We've had puppets forever. We've had animatronic puppets forever.
What if it is real, though? What if that thing actually is talking and they just weren't showing that? I thought it was fake, too. But what if it's real? We're at the point where could maybe be real, maybe. Like, say like Elon Musk was like in a basement somewhere making these things for like 3 years, and it's just like when he made self-driving cars and they pop. Well, he probably didn't make it, for the record. He probably hired a bunch of guys who helped him make it. But he's in the basement with 10 other dudes, and they're all cooking this shit up, okay, in the lab. And then all of a sudden they pop it out, and it sounds like a real human because they spent 10 years sitting in a basement doing it. That's possible, maybe. Or it's fake and it's like a Wizard of Oz thing. Because that's what I was thinking. That's what it looks like. But dude, like, I don't know. Because it's like, when I think about it, how far away are we from that? It could just be like how shitty the Facebook metaverse looked in 2020.
Yeah.
Like, it looked shitty then, but now it's becoming a real thing. Like, maybe in like 5 or 10 years, the shit'll like just skyrocket and it'll be crazy. And then now they say those glasses that people are going to put on, those are going to be the next big thing. They're going to be like cell phones. That's what they're trying to say.
That's what they're trying to say. And that's what I want to say. Before I moved here, the year before I moved here, that was the year of Google Glass. Google tried to do this before.
Okay.
We've already had the glasses. They did not take off for the nerd factor. Now, this was, I think, exactly 12 probably years ago that I saw those Google glasses on some guy. Because I saw them in real life. I remember seeing them in real life because I was downtown. I was like a high schooler fucking around downtown. And I was like, that's Google Glass. Like, oh my God. Like, I saw that online.
What is he seeing?
What is he seeing? Like, what is he capable of? And how do you get them? Because they weren't, I don't believe they were being sold to the public, but I don't remember. And they didn't take off. And so that's why I'm very suspicious of the glasses now. But the Ray-Ban ones with the little camera, I do see people wear at my job. Like, they'll come in and they'll be wearing those. And I'm like,
There's
always
a camera?
like, yeah. And that's it's clever because they learned what Google Glass failed. Google Glass, they were ugly. They were nerdy. People didn't want to be seen wearing them. They looked weird. The Ray-Bans, these are classic Ray-Bans where they've kind of integrated the lens, like right where like that little Wayfarer like chunk is.
Yeah.
So it's pretty not noticeable, but due to me, I get that ad for them all the time because they're like, we know you want to film all your shit. Like, we know you want this so bad.
Oh.
And so I get the ad for those Ray-Bans all the time. And I was like, oh, that's what they are. I can see. Like, that's what they are.
How much do they cost?
I don't
Must
know.
be expensive.
It's expensive enough they're not printing the price on the ad.
Well, like, that's a great idea if you're performing on a stage.
Oh,
though.
no, it's great.
Like,
I mean,
as
it's
a
like
comedian?
for content, as a comedian, oh my God. If you're performing on stage, think about that. Oh my God, that is amazing because you could just
That's what I'm saying.
record audience reaction.
No
and you
one's
can watch
ever
that.
done that. You could be the one to do it if you had the glasses.
That would be cool.
That's a great, because that's like the one art form where that would actually really work. Wow.
I gotta go. No, that's really amazing because it's like a kind of a Beyonce thing. Because I'm weird about watching my like recordings. Like, I record things and I need to watch them. It helps so much, like, to watch yourself perform. But it is like hard, like, mentally.
Yeah.
And I know I'm always like, Beyonce does this because it's like, it's famous that I guess she like really like will be watching that tape and like watches it a lot and like has always done that and like has all her tapes in like a temperature controlled room or whatever. She's Beyonce. But that is so Beyonce to have a camera on the audience. I'm actually already sure she already does. And to have one as a comedian would be, ooh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing too, is it's so hard when you're starting out and like it's like, I don't know how to, like, you know how to feel the energy and feel the vibes. And I'm sure you do too, but it's like, you're kind of being like, the game is I need laughs. Laughs are loud.
Yep.
And there are other reactions that are quiet. And it's like, it's hard sometimes to gauge because it happens to me all the time that it's like some of my favorite stuff and favorite material where I'm like, I need to work through this and make it really good and like show ready and get laughs on it. People get quiet because they're listening because I'm like explaining something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not bad. It's not terrible for a performer, but it does feel like I'm like, okay, it feels failed comedian. But then you also get the like silent laugh of like people who like kind of like the shock laugh. And I'm like, that I need to learn about. I need to game through that because it's so hard for me because I'll be like, I bombed. They were so quiet. And people were like, I was in the audience. We were laughing. We were having a great time. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on. I can't hear you. I feel weird. I need the Ray-Bans.
Yeah. I have to see you. This isn't working. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know what the science would be, because like I'm sure comedians ponder that all the time. Like, how do I make these people laugh more per minute? Like, there's got to be some type of mathematical equation you guys come up with.
I think there is probably somebody who wrote some kind of equation, because
Yeah.
it's like, there's like the classic like setup, punchline, callback, right? Like that's like the idea of like how it works. But it's like that even it boggles my mind, because it's like I so come from like poetry and playwriting that like joke writing to me was like the ultimate challenge of like, okay, how can you actually like give yourself a deadline every day, because there's always an open mic somewhere, and you have a deadline every day to write something that's going to work and be on its feet. And like when you're up there, you're going to feel when you've completely lost time, or like you've run out of gaps, or you've violated this formula of like how long someone will listen and engage before you surprise or delight them in some way with the joke. And like it's like, and that's the thing. I'm very much not trying to overthink that, because I'm like still pretty new to stand up. So I'm like, okay, you don't get to get locked in, and you have to remember that like you are nobody, and you don't have material. You haven't put something out. You're not somebody. Nobody's coming to see you because they love this joke you do. You're just figuring it out. And
How long have you done comedy
perspective.
for?
Last January.
Oh, okay.
That was my like first open mic.
So from the time we record this to now, it would be like around a year.
Yeah, basically. It was 11 months on Christmas Eve.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was just, and so it was like that to me, and that's why I love open mics and the structure of them, because it's like when you're new like this, you sit in an open mic for like hours sometimes, and you're listening to everybody try to apply that formula, poorly or well. But you listen to it so much that it's like you almost force your brain into like the rhythm of like, okay, this is kind of, okay, that's the rhythm of like how that worked for him, or like this is how long that worked. And like, it's like, especially for me, it's hard to like sit down, like I'm not sitting down and doing math and sweating it, but the more you hear it, it's literally like you're just clicking into like, oh, okay, this is how in 5 minutes you can kind of get that up and down,
Yeah. And it's also like at the open mic, when you see them do it in the same environment as these other people who weren't, because every room is different in comedy too.
Yeah.
So those people have to adapt differently to those places. And so that information is also there. Like you're like, oh, so that's how it works in here.
Yeah.
You figure that out in certain,
Oh
this
my
open
God.
mic is not what I thought it was. It's more like this, and you have to talk different. Like I'm sure that's a big thing a lot. Yeah. And everybody does comedy differently too. Like no one person is going to be the same as one other person. Like you might be influenced by people, but you're not going to be the same. It's just not going to happen. And like that's
not gonna happen.
What's interesting about it is how different people shine in different ways. Like who pops up for whatever reason, because I think people just naturally stick out. Like that's kind of how it happens.
It is. And that's why I love it, because it's like everyone who truly loves the art form, it's like you're competitive because you're like, I want to be the best. But you recognize that you're like, this art form is like finding the truth of like my perspective and voice, which someone can't actually truly steal if I'm doing the mining of this. Like I could stand up on stage and say all of Louis C.K.'s material, and it will sound different because it's not the truth to me, even if it's something I've also noticed. I didn't notice it in that way and write it down in that way. And so it's like it's a like, I don't know, happy-go-lucky is the wrong way to put it, but it's this sort of like, we're all in this together optimistic thing that I get, because it's like you see people who really respect it, and they're like, no, you're gonna work at it, and you're finding the thing that only you can say, so I can't take it from you. You can just do what you're gonna do.
Yeah, but it's hard. Like it's good that you have that perspective, because I imagine a lot of people who start any creative act don't really realize that's what they're doing for a while. You know, a lot of the time it's just, oh, I'm just doing this to do it. But it always ends up being your perspective somehow. Like no matter what you're doing, it just becomes that. Like it's what your choices accumulate into, and that becomes the art, and you get better at it throughout doing it. Like it's hard to have that perspective where it's like, okay, I just started this, but I have a long way to go. Because to some people a year's a long ass time. They're like, dude, I've done this for a year, what the fuck, like where's this going? But like comedy is one of those things you have to accept. Like
Oh,
10
yeah.
to 15 years. Music is just a gamble. You're just like, whenever the
Yeah.
fuck this happens, it
Yeah.
works out. But most popular comedians, it's what are usually a good 10 years into their career.
Yeah, 10
and you
years.
want it to be. You,
You
don't
want-
actually don't want to get popular earlier.
Exactly. And that is something. That is why you will not see a clip on my page, and you will not see a clip soon, because it's one of these things where it's like, what if I posted a clip of a joke that has something kind of spicy and controversial in it, so a bunch of people see it, and in 2 years that joke is like way good because I actually got there.
Yeah.
And it's like over because I just blew my load quick and just it was like, oh, I have a fun abortion joke. Let me put it on TikTok so I'll get the likes. And it's like, well, what if no? And that's the thing with comedy too, is that you realize how like, because it's like you kind of like if you're bullshitting in music, you could bullshit someone and be like, well, you just don't get it. Like you don't have the taste. Like you don't understand my genre, or you don't understand
Yep.
the prerequisites that you need to understand what I'm doing, even though you're really bullshitting. And it's like with comedy, you realize how like people, no matter who they are, they smell lies, they like truth, they respond because you've stripped it all away. They're just like, well, no, you're talking, I talk, I listen, I don't like what you said, it wasn't interesting, or you talked, that was so true, I felt it, it was real, I liked that, it was so funny, you did the thing. But it's like anyone, all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, they really are all my critics. I can't bullshit away and be like, well, again, you can, I guess there's old comedy, there's people do it, whatever, but it's a lot harder to bullshit people and be like, well, you don't understand what I'm doing. It's actually quite avant-garde and da-da-da-da. It's like, no, you're standing with a microphone in a bar, and if you're not adding to my experience and entertaining me, you failed. And I don't like that. And you're like, oh yeah, shit, you're right. You have the nose for what was a good and interesting bit that I worked out and what was bullshit, and you're gonna tell me, and I can feel it, and it hurts.
Yeah, but it's honest in that way. You kind of want it to be like that because that's the only way you get better. Like
yeah.
I think I've said this before, like on here. It's that like I feel like comedy, you have to learn it live. Like you have to figure it out right there in that moment. It's actually a good thing for you as a person to be like constantly having to refine whatever your art form is in such an honest way, because you address it truly. You're like, oh, that didn't get as what I thought it was going to get right there, right then. With music, like you said, you can bullshit yourself, because I've said that. When usually the comparison I make is like when I go on a stage, I can do whatever I want up there, and it's just gonna. Even if you didn't react the way I thought you were going to react, it's like, oh, well, whatever. I know this is good. With comedy, it's different. You can't do that because it's like, oh, that didn't, like, nothing happened right there.
The only reason
I just deflated a balloon just now.
The only reason I wrote that down was for you to make that noise, and you didn't. I literally didn't do it. Like, it's like you plucked the string and no sound came out. It's just literally like, oh shit, that was the whole thing. Like I was sweating on, I need you. And that is why, like, I have so much to learn, but that's what I love too about comedy, and love watching people who are really great with, and not like capital C crowd work where they're even like interviewing people or like getting really into it, but just being like, this is the unique art form because I need you as much as you need me. I can't do this without the energy exchange. Like you said, you could stand up there and rock out and be a rock star and just not have the energy exchange and just be like, nope, I showed you my music. That was the recital. We're done now. It's like, you cannot, I mean, you can stand up there and talk, but it feels horrible.
You'd have to be literally a genius. Like you'd have to be Andy fucking Kaufman. That's the only way.
And you're elevating it and you're doing your own thing. And I super respect all comedy. I'm not like everybody has to have everyone in the bar guffawing. Like it's like you do your thing. But when you're like starting out and you're at the level of just like, I'm just here to entertain people, and it is very clear when I don't. And I can't delude myself that like they just don't get it.
Yeah.
When I'm trying to train myself that everyone gets it. It's a good joke. Like, it's a great joke. Everybody gets it. Everybody's in on it, you know?
What specific lessons have you learned along the way then? Like, have you figured certain things out you can think of that you like wouldn't have known at the very beginning?
Yeah. I mean, it's harder to think specifically about actual comedy lessons of like, do this, do that. Because like there are basic things, which is, it's true. It's like my first open mic, I watched everybody move the mic stand out of their way. And I was like, okay, when you get up there, you're going to be nervous. You're not going to know where to put your hands. You're not going to know what to do. move the mic stand out of your way and get the mic in your hand. And that is truly like a genuine, like, I still watch people not do it at open mics and like get nervous. And I'm like, that is the like day one. Like if I could have told rookie me, I was like, just this, that's going to help you so much. And like put your hands out of your pockets and like you can take your notebook up if you want, but if you're brand new and you're trying to make a really good impression, it's a lot easier if you don't take your notebook up and really just kind of learn what it looks like to like look up at people, because that's scary. But that's the biggest thing I've personally learned, is that like there's no amount of like anxiety or like scare, like, I guess, what's the best way to put this? The best thing I've learned is the amount my brain will try to trick me just because I will get in my own way. So like that being the anxiety I feel before I go on stage, even feeling tired before I go to an open mic, any kind of thing that my brain was telling me that that was going to get in the way of me getting a goal of like I was like, I'm going to do 200 sets my first year. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go to an open mic every time I don't have to be at work. My brain, I realized, would play any trick. It wouldn't just be stage fright. It would be, I'm tired. I'm too hot. It would play any trick. And I realized from doing this that like, I am in control of my own brain. And I've never felt that way. Like as a person who struggles with anxiety, as a person who struggles with mental illness, I was always like, when you get the panic symptoms, when you start to feel like short of breath or whatever, there's nothing you can do. And like this thing trained me that it was like, if I amped myself for like 5 minutes at a time and was like, you need to do this, it was the first time in my life that I was like, okay, I can do what I need to do. I can lock in. I guess that's just the feeling of locking in, but it's literally just like, I have always thought that I was like reading the signals from my brain to like interpret my body and tell me what to do. And this year was when I was like, no, I'm a performer. I have to like take a deep breath and turn something on, and I'm capable of doing it. And that it was a weird thing to prove to myself, but it's like this like sort of like fear kind of thing where I'm just like, there's nothing that my fear won't try to do. Just be like, you're afraid to do this deep down, and instead of working through it, you're going to feel any kind of way. And I was always like, nope, fear's at the bottom of that. I'm not afraid of doing this. I'm not afraid of myself. I'm not afraid of failing. Because that was the best I ever felt like, was like, I started going out, this probably happened like 4 or 5 months into going out all the time, that I was bombing like bad. And it was the first time that when I was bombing, I didn't get off stage. I was like, I just kept doing bits. Because a lot of times I would bomb after like a minute or two and be like, okay, sorry. Like I just kind of get off. And there was a time that it was like I was bombing. It was late night. I was definitely going to bomb. Everyone was tired. It was a room of comics. It was not working. But I knew the jokes were pretty good and or maybe could be. And I just didn't care. And I did the full time. And I listened to a recording all the time because I did the full time and just end with, okay, fuck you guys. And it was the first time I just went, fuck you guys. And I'm not afraid of this. This is like, there's no amount of humiliation I can feel right now. It just doesn't. I'm the one that's doing this in my brain. I chose to be here. I'm tired. I'm anxious. I don't have any money to buy drinks. Like, it's just like all the shit my brain was doing. I was like, nope, I'm doing this because I came out here to do this, and I have to say this stuff out loud to get better at saying this stuff out loud. So I have to. I'm like that. Like, you have to. You're doing it. No believing the fear. That has been like this. It's just changed like the way I know it's rewired my brain like completely.
Yeah. Because why? Like, what particularly made that change it? Like, just the experience of doing it that one time. Like, now you know how to do it.
I think just doing it over and over again and having something be something I care about, where it's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's like kind of boring, and it's like I face this fear in my head all the time of like being bad or like not being able to do it or like not having anything interesting to say. And it's like, because with open micing, I've like faced that fear like over and over and over again, and just been like, every time I felt afraid or wanted to run away or had any kind of trick about wanting to not do it, I didn't do it. And then now in the rest of my life, I'm like, when I see myself facing a problem, I just like have this thing in my head that's like, no, just do it then. Just get through it. Like, just do it. And it was that repetitive of like, just do it. Like, you're doing it again tomorrow. Like, even when it's like not even a bomb, not even a crush, it just was boring. Okay, you're doing it again tomorrow. And like that that regimented aspect I hadn't like had in my life anywhere else. So that kind of thing of like, even when I'm feeling like I don't want to do this, I have a goal and I can do that. It's just made me like literally a calmer problem solver where I'm just like, what? Okay, is everything going to go wrong? Okay, like, looks like I've survived everything going wrong a bunch of times. I've survived like everything feeling like, okay, this is the end of the world because I'm standing up here and everyone's looking at me and everyone hates me and I'm wasting everyone's time. And it's like, I feel all those things and then I'm okay. And just like doing that over and over, like making myself just have to be okay. Like, not even have to be okay, but just doing it and proving to myself that like I didn't have to be okay in my head to go up there and do that. I didn't have to feel good about myself or have a good day to crush. That happened too. And seeing how like the results of what I was getting out was not in my control. It wasn't like, okay, I'm having a great day, I'm going to crush. No, not necessarily. But like I've been doing it every day, so it might happen if all the things line up because I was ready and I don't have the control over everything. So it's just like that, like kind of, okay, I might get up there and it might suck. And that might be on me. I'll evaluate. Might not be. We'll evaluate. Like it's just, okay, life is just this. I just kind of, all you do is really problem solve and evaluate and choose what you want to do. And like, I just feel like I've been making it so much more complicated because it's like I have this fear that like the fear will just trick me into doing anything. It's just like, okay, you know what? You know what the fear loves? The fear loves me in the apartment scrolling on the phone because nothing can happen and nothing can go wrong because nothing's happening. And it's like, you know what? Shit can happen and shit can go wrong. I'm okay. And it's just been this, okay, I'm always okay.
Yeah, I'll fall into the same type of pattern. And I always have to think too, like, nothing great has ever happened from someone's apartment by themselves. Like usually,
Well,
I mean,
great
like,
novel, great album.
you
We
can
could do
make
it.
something and bring it out,
Yeah.
but you have to bring it out and put it somewhere and talk to people and meet
Yes.
people. Like you will never ever do it all from that one apartment. Like
Yes.
it eventually goes somewhere, so you might as well start earlier, you know.
Yes.
And
And
it's a lot of it is who you know. That is really the truth. And you don't meet people usually from sitting inside of your apartment by yourself. But like it's hard to because I have the same thing where every single time I perform, and I just imagine like a lot of people do this and just don't say it. But it's like, I'll think, okay, this is going to suck ass. This is going to be bad. Like the Power Hour thing.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I wasn't going to film that. And like my phone was dying and I should have fucking filmed it. I was thinking, for one, I was thinking this isn't going to make sense because they're not going to see all the shit they're not going to understand why I wrote down all this shit on the video. So that's
Yeah.
fine. But I should have filmed it anyway because it would have been fine. But also the other part of my brain's like, oh, this might not go well.
Yeah.
And then this might be embarrassing for me.
Yeah.
But still, that would have been a good thing to film.
I know.
Stupid. And then I film it and it was, it just all goes great. And that's what always happens for me. I'm always telling myself, oh, this is probably going to be the time that I suck ass. And then it never happens.
It never is. It never is. No, I know. Because I do these shows sometimes that are like a concept show where I've like written something for the show. Like it's not my material. Like it's like there's one that's like a drunk history show. So we do like a history, like we talk about someone in history. I always never film them because I'm like, well, it's not my material. I'm not evaluating them. Every time I crush and I'm like, you need this even for your own ego. Yeah. Like you're like crushing up there. You're doing some of your like best stuff and you're not even going to reuse this material because it's not like necessarily your act at all. And it's just like, I never do it because I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. But and even that's too, as I love having the film of the bomb. The film of the bomb helps even better. Like if everything went shitty, I'm like, I literally love to watch that, put it on mute. I know what I said. I know how it didn't work. Put it on mute, watch the body language, and I'm just like, okay, when my body does that, that's when I'm telling the audience that I've let them let me bomb, and I've decided to bomb. So next time, we're not doing that. We're not doing that body language. We're gonna trick them. We're gonna trick them. Like, if they've decided I'm bombing, I'm gonna try until I get off stage. Do not bomb. Like, you know, like it's just so.
That's funny because there is like a thing that people do. Like they'll like kind of bow their head a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, bow your head and slouch, or like, because it's interesting to watch people because you can even learn about people. And I think people can pull it off and people cannot pull it off, but sometimes men can get aggressive and it'll work. It'll work that they like puff up.
They literally lean into it.
Yeah. And it's like, and it'll work on people a lot, but that's, you often see, I call it my Charlie Brown shoulders. I'm like, you don't like me. And it's like, well, now you're not even projecting any kind of confidence or inspiring them to like you. So what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the catch of it all is like you foster that mindset by thinking that way. So you just have to, if you do think like that, you have to put all that aside and just pretend that that's all bullshit, that is all bullshit, and you'll be fine. But you have to think of it that way, or else you will fuck up because you created that whole scenario already. Like you played it out in your head. Literally. You told yourself, I'm gonna go up there and fuck up. That's really smart to watch back what you do when you fuck up, to not even do that.
Yeah, because it's like
you fool your own brain too in a way. You're like, I'm not fucking up right now. I'm doing good.
Literally, I have a nervous knee. It's like I'll watch myself, and it's like I'm setting up a joke, and I can tell that I'm not sure if the joke is gonna go well, and so my knee starts shaking, and then I'll be like, I'm literally telling the audience with my body, I'm not sure about this one, and if that's not good. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna help them come along with me. It's not good, and it's fun to, and I can't pull off this move, but there are much better comics who, and I respect it every time I see it's done because it works really well, is when you're bombing, if you can acknowledge that you're bombing and they're having a bad time and bounce it back up, people do it really well. It's like this great finesse of like, you're not having a good time. That's no good. We got to change it. But even that phrasing, that's not fun. That's not entertaining. But like people do it really well where you can just be like, okay, we're not all going to pretend that now I'm going to come up with something that you're going to love because you didn't like those first two. So we got to do this.
Yeah. And you have to like, it's almost like you're sales pitching yourself in the middle of the act. Yeah. Let's turn this thing around.
Let's turn this thing around. Like literally.
That's a good thing to have in your back pocket as a way to do that. I never even thought about that. To know how to turn an act around like that. Because that would be a good finesse. That's like showing, it's kind of like, because comedy is a lot, it's kind of like jazz music, but not quite. In the sense that like a regular person can enjoy it. But if you are someone who like listens to a lot of comedy, or you're a comedian or all these things, you kind of get the ins and outs of it a lot more than another person. So you would see what happened there. Yeah. Whereas like the average person wouldn't even know what happened.
Exactly.
That's why it's done well. Though.
Yeah.
That's what's good about it.
Yeah. They were just being buoyant. The average person was just like, yeah. And that's like, because it's often, and what I see a lot, because it's just like, I know. Oh, wait. Do you mind if I vape?
Oh, yeah. That's fine.
I know that like a lot of my material is dark. And I watch a lot of dark comics on purpose. And the darkness sometimes is like a lot of the dark comics have to have, and you can see that they have things in their back pocket for the discomfort laugh. If it's not loud, if people aren't ready. Oh, is this too dark for you? But then I've also watched people be so used to being like, oh, is this too dark for you? That they don't know what to do when it hits. And so I'm like, that's why I'm like, you can never be sure they're going to be weird about it. Cause like, you don't know. And that was like that was when I was first like, oh shit, this is addicting. Like I might actually be like good at this, whatever, who cares? But I literally had like memorized this one story when I first started going out, and I don't even use it anymore. I gotta like retool it. It's like weird, but this girl got really uncomfortable, and I knew that the audience was getting really uncomfortable, and she had a really weird giggle and started uncomfortable, just like like it was like, kind of like that. I can't do it very well, but it was like I just stopped and like went up to her and I was like, honey, I've been to therapy, like I'm okay. And I felt them all get on my side and get more comfortable with it, and like the way that I was like, oh shit, like this is comedy, like this is, because I really had memorized it like a monologue. I just had something to say, and then I stopping and just just offhandedly just riffing about I've been to therapy, it's okay, that's the only reason I'm telling you this. And then she started actual laughing, and then it was very much like I felt them all get on my side and just be like, oh shit, okay, it's okay, we can listen to this fucked up story, this is okay. And I was like, oh, this is addicting. Like, this is amazing. But that's the comedy of it. And that's the thing that I say. It's like, that's what I'm actually learning how to do. The writing, that's a practice. That's a discipline. You figure out. But what I'm actually learning how to do is feel that vibe, see that girl, know how to engage and know how to entertain and get it going. And that feeling is it's so good. Yeah. I don't even get it. That was a weird one. It was like a fluke. It was literally like my third open mic, and I know I crushed, and somebody was like, "You really crushed." I was like, "I know." And I literally left, and I remember being like, "Oh my God." Like, that was the most people I've ever performed in front of. And it was not going well for 30 seconds of 3 minutes. It was not going well. And then it did. Like, it was like, but that was because I realized it was like, oh, I'm giving when I get back. I've made them all uncomfortable. And now if I make a joke out of how uncomfortable they are, we can all get back into this.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. And you didn't see someone do that before that time? Because if it was your third one, like, were you?
I might have, though, because my first one, there wasn't a lot of comics. But I feel like my second one, oh, no, you know what it was? It was my third one, and I didn't get up at the second open mic I went to because I just sat and I got bumped. They ran out of time. So it was like the second night I went out, I watched like a full 2-hour open mic without getting up, thinking I was going to get up the whole time, like kind of calculating and just being like, okay, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready for my second open mic, and then they ran out of time. So I bet I saw that because that was at a room where people bomb a lot just because it's the layout of the room. There's a weird. I like don't even go there that much because I was like, okay, I'm bombing so hard. This is not interesting information. Sometimes, like, I'll come back with some new stuff. But a lot of people bomb there, and I think I probably saw someone do that night and do a little bit of, oh, I'm bombing. Oh, you hate this. Oh, can I talk to you? Because it was definitely the layout of that room, and. But also, and that's the thing is, I come from, like, I used to live with a drag queen, and so there is, like, I had seen a lot of, like, drag queens hosting shows and, like hosting of that kind, and I think that is, too, where it's, like, checking in with people and having, like, the actual, because I feel like as musicians do this, too, it's, like, checking in and being, like, the sort of, like, are you with me? And then, like, no one is. Like that weird, like, okay, Roscoe's, are you with me? And then, like, no one is. No one cheers. Like, they're not with you. And, like, that, I have a vivid memory of a drag queen sort of like, are you with me? No one was. So then she had to really get into a bit and do something. But you have to acknowledge that awkwardness of, like, I feel like a rock star up here because I have a microphone, but I'm not a rock star if you're not paying attention at all.
Yeah. I mean, and that is like anything you're doing on a stage. Eventually, you have to figure that. That's something that you only learn through experience. I don't think anybody could even tell you how to do that, right? Because they could give you tips, but there's no way for you to know how to do it unless you've done it over and over and over again. Because a lot of it's right there in the moment. A lot of it's like however that girl laughs that day.
Exactly. It was like, and that's why I think about that set a lot because I was so, like, early on, and I was like, what went so right? And I was like, no, it was like you knew how to play, and, like, I kept being like, thank God that girl had a weird laugh. And it's like, well, no. I mean, if you do, if you're in the game, you'll be able to find somebody to talk to. It doesn't have to be that girl with a loud laugh. But exactly, it was like, and that's why people always shit on, and comedians sometimes gas me up a little bit, like, and shit on comedy classes because they're very like, well, you've never been in a comedy class, and, like, you just kind of started doing it, and, like, by doing it you got good at it. And I'm like, yeah, like, and I'm getting booked and I appreciate it and I'm humble and I'm, like, fully ready to take a class because I'm like, wait, somebody tell me the math here, because what I'm learning is the game of how to be up there, how to be out, and how to do the job. And that is, I was like, my mentality in January was literally like, I was like, look, I love comedy so much and I've always wanted to do it. But I've always been like, it's not realistic to make it your full-time job at all. And then I was like, all I do is listen to podcasts with comedians. That's what I do with my time. They are living. People are figuring it out. There are ways to do it. But if you want to do it, you could go to open mics like it's your full-time job. You have to treat it like it's your job. Like somebody's actually, like, you have to be there. You have to do it. And, like, that kind of, like, job mentality, so good to train yourself. Great. Love, like, I've gotten so much time on stage to learn how to be on stage, but I'm totally like, oh yeah, shit, I'll take a class. Somebody tell me how to write this stuff, because, like, I've been going with what works, and it is so natural and that's so good. And there's almost this way that it's like you want to be like, nah, no class ever, don't tell me what to do. But I'm totally like, no, the classes are about the writing aspect, which is the writing aspect. That's the daytime aspect. That's the discipline aspect. That's the part of, like, that's a part of art that everyone has to like figure out. Like, how are you going to craft? Like, how are you going to continue to be able to string the bow? Like, whatever that thing is. But then it's like, if you don't play, you don't play. And like, we don't get to play. Like, it's like, I can try my bits on my roommate all I want.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like, people would probably be drawn away from the school for that reason. It's like, I could just go on a stage and figure it out there. Why would what are they going to tell me about a setup and a punchline that I can't figure out
myself?
Yeah. But I mean, I could see both sides to that. Because I mean, it's also just about even the community of people you're going to see at that school too. Because it's going to expose you to people that might help you later even. Like, you should probably... I don't know what you learn in those classes. And I've heard there's a decent amount of them. I think I asked Ron Bloom about it when he was on here a little bit ago, and he said a few of them.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are good ones, because it's like anything where anyone will take your money to tell you they know how to do something. Yeah. And comedy is really low bar of like, you could tell me that you know what you're talking about, and like, I might believe you. It's just, there's definitely people taking your money for nothing, but it's just funny to me because when people shit on it, I'm always like, yeah, I mean, totally. Like, absolutely. I've been literally calling me being at open mics like comedy college. Like, this is comedy college. Like, I've been treating it like college. I have a day job and I go and this is what I actually do. Like, that's all I need. Is there's enough to do. There's enough stage time to train yourself like that. But I am getting to the point where too, I'm like, hold my hand. Like, hold my hand. Tell me what I'm writing is like really good. Like, tell me where to move it. Because that's the other thing is that people, and I think especially because I'm a woman, they're hesitant to give me specific notes and advice, which I appreciate. Like, I'm too rebellious. You can't give me a bunch of notes. I'm going to be like, fuck you and your mother. Like, it's not going to work out for you. But the few times that someone has tried to tell me, like, move this over there or, like, do this in a different order, they were so wrong. Like, so wrong. Like, every time I've taken someone's advice, I've been like, never again. Like, that they have no idea what they're talking about. And so that's why it's almost like, I think I have the almost like Dumbledore Gandalf fantasy that I'm like, look, I'll pay money for you to be a mentor that I'm sure of, because the rest of us, we're all comedians just sitting here and people are telling me stuff and I can't take the advice. I can't take the advice, but I'm desperate for the note. Like, I need the note.
Yeah. I wonder how much they could actually help. I mean, probably a lot. I feel depending on where you go. It's always that. It's always like you go to the right place that'll tell you exactly what you need to hear. I mean, there's all kinds of... one thing I always say about college or education, because I always think I can't even... For me, like, getting a college degree is insanity unless I have tens of thousands of dollars in savings. Why would I ever trick myself into thinking that's a good idea? But looking on the bright side, you do get streamlined information. Like, you get it all directly from a good source, somebody who's like training in this shit, like a Jedi warrior, and you can ask them questions. Like, you kind of want that sometimes. I wonder, and for comedy, I'm sure there might be some like seasoned comic that is a teacher there now, and he's out here giving you fucking wisdom that only he could have. So yeah, that would be good. I just wonder what kind of stuff they're teaching you in there. That's what I wonder. Like, I wonder what you sit there for 5-6 weeks talking about.
Yourself, because that's the thing. I feel like I bet it's a lot like a almost like a self-help class kind of deal, right? I mean, because the thing about it, because it's like finding my voice. Like, that's what they're like, you're gonna help you find your voice, and it's like that is the most funny thing ever to pay someone to help you do. Like, that's insane. But like, and it's just. But it's also like, that's what I actually find that's funny about college now, because I feel like I am part of the last generation. Like, now we have Zoom, it's all exploded. College used to mean structure. It was like, okay, at least it'll give my life some structure for some time, so I can like get some stuff done or work on goals. This will be structure. And it's like, now I really don't know how a young person would decide to go to college, because it's like there's no structure to it even. They're like, no, actually, half of it's online. Do whatever you want. Like, it's cheaper for us if you don't live here, and it's like none of that structure even exists anymore. And I think that's why I'm like, okay, I want the structure now, because I've had the like blissful year of chaos of just like, okay, throw it all at the wall, just figure it out as you go. And it's like you dream almost, you're like, okay, wait, where's the like seasoned comedian who's going to just pluck me and be like, okay, you don't need to pay for a class, but we have class every day at this time and I'm going to help you write. And it's like, no, it's figuring out how to get that discipline in myself, I think, is the big one. But God, I'd love to just pay or get an app, you know?
Yeah, just take some magic pill that just makes it happen. That'd be awesome.
The limitless pill. Do you ever think about the limitless pill?
I think about it sometimes.
I think about the limitless
I don't
pill.
think I'd want it. I think if you actually asked me and I had to pick and I could choose, I don't think I'd want it. But just because I fear too much what it would actually be, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I think you lose your humanity. You become like that blue guy from Watchmen.
Yeah. No, and I think it's wise because it's like, if I've learned anything this year, satisfying, like hard work is satisfying and things coming like with a slower result. It's like, oh shit, I did that even though I was tired. And it's like, yeah. And that's the thing. I always think about the limitless pill because to me, I'm like, that's just Adderall, no consequences. Like to me, like it's like I can't with Adderall. I'm all over. It's not good for me, but it does. It's just like it's always been like there's a magical drug that would make you productive. You wouldn't have to do it. Like, and it's just like, oh yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah, all the time. I've never actually seen the movie. Does he have to take it over and over? Or he takes it one time, right? He just takes it the once, or does he take the pill over and over and over again? He has to because that's another like thing I would think about. If I have to like worry, like, what happens if I stop taking this pill?
I know.
What if I take this pill for like 3 months and then I change my mind? Like, are there gonna be side effects? Do I become anti-limitless, like the opposite? You know?
I mean, actually, I feel like that's how I live my life.
On the bottom end of that spectrum.
I have like manic productivity, and then I am the anti-limitless. I'm like just laying down.
Hey, that's actually good though. That's like a bear that hibernates.
Yeah. Okay. Bear that hibernates, cycles the moon.
Exactly.
We're doing it.
You need to do that.
Yeah.
Now, like, what's crazy to me is how some people have like this. Everybody's different. Some people have a work ethic that's literally inhuman, and they just can do. I think a lot of comics are kind of inhuman in that. Like, they're going and doing open mics every night. That's actually something most people couldn't even think of doing. They just go home after work, and that's what they do. So that's actually a lot of work right there. But some people like are just built for that, and other people are not at all. Other people don't want that life. They don't even like that. And like, I think it's good for you.
Yeah.
I think it's good for you to have a thing, to like you're doing a thing all the time and your brain is hyper focused on getting better. That's one of the best possible ways you could live your life. I'm amazed that people are like okay with just like.
Well, and I think that's like, and I'm like, mental health is mental health, but I think a lot of anxiety is treated or goes away when you are doing those kind of goal things and you're goal oriented. And like, this is so dumb, but genuinely, when Miley Cyrus went on Joe Rogan's podcast, it's like one of my favorite like cultural touchstones because it's a mix. But he says to her, and I like heard this and was like, damn, that is probably true about me. He's like, you're such a high energy person. It's like you almost have to be doing some kind of intense powerlifting just so that you don't drive yourself crazy. And she was like, yeah, like literally I do. Like I'm like up in the gym, like just so I don't drive myself crazy. And like I've heard that a million times, but that was the first time I heard it for real, where I was like, oh shit, he is for real. Like I am getting to this adult point in my life where like my brain is gonna eat itself. I have to just give it something to do. And the more I give it something to do, and we're just going out and getting like, I always compare it to Pac-Man. I'm like, I'm going out and I'm getting my like productivity, like Pac-Man dots of like dopamine and serotonin. It's like the more I do things and accomplish
Productivity
things,
pellets, and call it those.
literally, they're like, it's my little and I'm like, no, you don't get to like, it's like, getting on your phone is like blasting this feeling that you have them, but you didn't actually eat any pellets. You didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And so you got to go out and do your little things. And that's why I was like, when I first started going to open mics, writing them all down, it was like I tallied the first 100 and then like I wrote them all. And it was like writing that down, that number, and just watching a number go up slowly with my effort every day. I'd never had that. I'd never had that gym mentality of like just seeing very slow gains of like, okay, now you've done 60. Now you've done 80. Now you've done 2 shows. Now it's like you wrote down that you wanted to do the showcase at this open mic because it was your 3rd open mic, or it was like your 4th open mic or something. You did that showcase. You wrote that down. You did it. Like that, it alleviates mental health. Like it helps me feel so much less anxious and depressed because it's just like, okay, there's a lot I can't deal with. I could think about that, but I have to go drive to this bar. I have to go over here. I have to go do that. And that kind of like constant motion, it's been so helpful. And that's why I was thinking that when you said that, because they say that about athletes, that like former athletes make great stand-ups because they approach it like athletics, like the gym, where it's just like, it's that same kind of mentality, and that really helps you. Like it's not, and that is, it's like getting more rigid with it helps me so much because I'm so from like theater and poetry and like just being very like loose with it and like it'll come when it'll come and whatever. It's like, no, it's rigid. It's like, if you're gonna do stand up, you just stand up every night. Do you have something to say or not? Like,
Yeah.
it's rigid. It's and that kind of it's very helpful to be productive creatively. And I had been so the kind of person that I was creative in my mind and addicted to how good those ideas were if I never executed them and never saw them become less than how good the idea was, like
You
it
didn't
was
want
like
the truth.
I didn't want the truth. I
Yeah.
wanted to pitch 1,000 movies and just have all these ideas about how everything I had to say was very interesting and good. And if I could just get my word out there, it'd be good. It's like, okay, well, pick up a mic, try to tell people some of the things you're thinking, see how hard it is to actually translate those thoughts and that they're not perfect, wonderful epiphanies that you had after hitting the bong, and like actually get out there, and then it's so much more rewarding, but it's really hard. And I had lived that life for so long of like being around people who are just vaguely creative. Like we're creative for sure. And it's like, well, if there's no action to it, that's like super depressing. Like that's more depressing than just being a square and being like not creative at all. Like, cause you're just kind of like, yeah, no, I'm definitely creative. I have thoughts and ideas and okay. And it's just like I started doing open mics because it was like I hadn't written anything in years, and my friend really pushed me to like put out a really short 10-minute play. He was like, I want you to do this, I'm doing a 10-minute play festival. Please submit, do it. And actually doing it and seeing something executed, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm wasting my whole life being worried that these aren't good. And it was like, I submitted this play and let the director do whatever they wanted. And it was almost like the first pre-stand-up shock and humiliation and it wasn't humiliation, it was great. They did a great production, but I wasn't involved. And a lot of the choices were not what I meant or like kind of not what I had imagined. And I sat there, saw it. It was still a great production. That was fine. And I realized how I needed to translate myself better if I wanted it to be better. I was like, oh shit, that's writing. Okay, we just did that. We're doing writing. Like that's what it is. It's not, oh, I have this perfect idea for a play that's going to be so edgy and groundbreaking and perfect. And it's like, well, if you don't do anything about it, it's going to be nothing. So, and if you're worried about it not being groundbreaking and perfect enough, it's never going to be anything. And so let it be just what it is. And one little piece might speak to somebody and you're like, oh shit, okay, that was the point. Like you understood one line of the play. That's more than anyone's understood of my writing if I don't let anyone see it ever.
Yeah. Yeah. You miss every shot you don't take, they say. I think Michael Jordan said that before he died in a helicopter crash.
Wait a second. No. That quote is definitely attributed to Marilyn Monroe.
Is it? Is it? I thought it was Einstein. I really do think that's true, though. Like, if you don't set... my ultimate grand theory is that all of life is sort of your brain learning how to face resistance in different ways. I think you learn it like physically and mentally and spiritually and all these ways because life's going to come at you a million different ways that you never even expected before. And like if you learn to jump over hurdles like that, then life instantly becomes you can see as you do it that it gets easier to do it. And something like a craft that exposes you to people, something like an art form where you can look at your work, even like you can just look at it, like even if you just write things to yourself, like just putting words down and then looking at it and being able to read them, you can see yourself change. And like I think things like that are really valuable because what is it anyway?
You feel like nothing. And that's the thing is I struggled with that when I was most depressed. It was just I was always like, I am nothing. I have nothing because I don't have a family. I'm single. I have nothing. And it's just like you have limitless opportunity and a life to live. So as soon as I started seeing filling it with things where I would see progress in things, I was like, nothing. You have days. And look at a whole bunch of days in a row, something happens. Like, it's just like, and it's almost so basic, like even the way I'm saying it, but it's like, it like boggled my mind how much I was living without ever like seeing progress in myself. And then being like, well, yeah, I feel like I don't work hard at anything. It's like, yeah, because you're not making yourself work hard at anything. You have worked so hard to be independent and not have anyone tell you what to do. Time to tell yourself something to do. Something.
Yeah.
You know?
It's different for everybody too. Like, I think that's the hard part really, is figuring out what it is that you can do. Because, I mean, but again, it's just starting and trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
You can't just sit there and worry about it.
And it helps.
You gotta dip your feet into different waters, you know?
Yeah,
see how it goes.
And it helps to fail at things. It helps to fail and like, it's not an art form and it's different, but I was like doing, right before I was doing stand up, I was doing hair like for a while. And I was really like, I'm going to do hair. I love doing hair. I'm passionate about this as like a creative expression of myself. I think I put too much pressure on it. I was really bad at it. And not really bad. Everyone that knows me from my salon was like, you were fine. But in 2 years, I trained at it for a while. And after 2 years, I was not seeing progress at all. I was not applying myself. It was not working out. A lot on me. But it was really helpful as a person to have something where I was like, I love this. I'm trying it. I don't have the natural aptitude and I don't have the discipline and I'm not doing it. I'm failing. Like, and to really fail at something, it gives you kind of the confidence to be like, okay, well, then I can try other things that I truly love and I'm truly invested in. And if I fail, then I'm still me. I know that. Because it's like, you may not have natural aptitude at something you like. And I think that was like, for me, comedy is so like the obvious answer because I'm a talker, I'm a gabber. This is so obvious that's the thing I have an aptitude for. But it was just like one of those things where it's like, well, but then I would have to work hard at actually being good at it. And that would be embarrassing to like work hard at something. And like getting over that is like so key to just growing the fuck up. Like, no, it's not embarrassing to be seen working hard.
People
ever.
actually respect it. Like,
Respect
especially
it.
the comedians that are in the same position as you. Like,
Yeah.
they see you doing the same thing as them, and they're like, you know what? Like, I see that she's improving, and like, they respect you more over time. The more they see you out there doing that, even when you bomb, they're like, hell yeah, she fucking bombed tonight. At least she was here.
Yes.
Like, they like that you show up.
Yes.
So that stuff really. I think stuff like that too, where you don't even realize when you choose to do those things, when you choose, I am going to go out and approach stand up, you don't realize like the butterfly effect of that and all those other positive things it can do that you don't even intend with the action. Because like somebody else might see you show up all the time and they're like, oh shit, like she's really out here. Maybe I should be going to more open mics. You could never realize that they're thinking like that.
I had people tell me that actually. I've had one person like tell me that, and it was like a huge confidence boost of just
exactly.
Because it's like that's the whole of stand up too, is that like you're like, am I just annoying? Am I just
do
annoying?
They even like me?
Like, do they even like me? And like that's what you can, and you think it all the time because you're just like, am I just annoying? Like, is it just weird? And that was like, and someone pointing out and just being like, look, I started going more because I saw you out more and I saw that it made a difference. And I was just like, that's all I needed to hear. But also, and it's just like the only reason because I set a number goal literally based on someone told me offhandedly in a conversation, I did 200 open mics my first year out.
Nice.
And I thought I had seen him out a lot. I thought he was pretty good at joke writing. And I was like, bet. Great. That's my number now. Like, I'm doing 200. But then I did like talk to some older comedians who like, they were talking about just how everyone used to be outside every night and you would be like trying to hit 3 mics a minimum for like 3 6-month stretches to just be like, this is how you do it. This is how, if you're out every night for 6 months, nobody can't really say they don't know who you are at all. Like, they at least have to know that you're around and that you do this. And that challenge, that was kind of like set to me probably in like July. Like somebody was just like, no, we used to do 3 a night, 5 nights a week, go out on the weekends to comedy clubs to meet people. Like we were out 7 nights a week. And I was just like, if that's an exaggeration, I'm about to find out because I am going to do it. Like, okay. And that was because I work a morning job and I don't think I ever even got, I think maybe 5 weeks I did it pretty consistently, but it was like right around then was when I started to reach the goal of 200, and I literally was just like stopped counting. I'm like, all the progress has helped so much, all the counting helped so much. As soon as I hit my goal, I was like, cool, I'm set for the year. Like I literally was working on it yesterday where I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna set as a goal for the next year, because it's just not even what I imagined at all too. It's like I feel like almost insane talking about this year, because it's like there was a way that I was just like, maybe after a year I might have like 5 minutes and somebody might put me on their show. And it's like now I like have 15 minutes. I do shows often. Like I'm like I do shows at a rate that like makes me feel like privileged. Like, and part of it is demographic, which I'll always acknowledge. I am a lady. I fill a demographic hole on a lot of lineups. I know that. But I've just gotten so much more out of this in this amount of time than I could have. I really was like, maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll hit. Maybe I'll meet some comedians. And like, I even told myself too, I was like, if this doesn't work it out at all and because I enjoyed it right away, but I was still kind of like, maybe. I mean, I've gotten a crush fluke. I don't know. And I was like, well, I enjoy the comedians. Maybe I'll just write a play about comedians or something. Like, I was really like, I don't know. We don't know. And it's just like, by the summertime, I was just like, this is blowing my mind. I can't believe that there's just been so much work for me to do. So I just don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know. Sometimes people are like, what are your goals? Or like, what projects are you working on? I'm like, the goal continues to be pay the rent. And the project continues to be get out of bed and feed self. And beyond that, I am more creatively excited and productive than I've ever been. So I'm just grateful that I'm alive. Like
That's a great place to be, though. You know, to have that be the goal. That's a good one. Those are wholesome goals.
They're wholesome goals. It's just like, and that's what I was even telling like family over the holidays when they're like, how's comedy? I was like, honestly, it's just an amazing way to live my life. Like at the end, like, it's like, I don't want anyone to get stars in their eyes and be like, oh my gosh, we're going to see on Netflix, you know, in even 10 years. Like, it's like, I don't know, you guys. I don't know. I know what I want. I know I'd love to make a film. I know I'd love to, you know, work on TV. I know I'd love to work on the things that I love. Sure. But this is the best mental state I've ever been in, because it's productive and it's allowed me to focus the writing, and that's just what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's just like, so that's why my project always continues. Just like, and that's why they've also been like, why have you been in Chicago for 10 years? We all thought you'd like move to another city or like go other places. And I'm just like, yeah, I just always wanted to be in Chicago. Now I found a pretty cool way to like stay and like have a really cool life here. So it's pretty much afford Chicago, continue. Like,
so you would say that the 3 open mics a night, like, that did pay off?
Oh yeah. Doing more than one a night was crucial for that first learning curve, because you just couldn't care and you couldn't get into the like tragedy and ecstasy of like the one set and the one open mic. And you even like, because it would kind of, there was a time where on Mondays I could pull off 5 a night, and that was really intense and really fun. And it was like, by that 5th one, it's like 2 a.m. You have nothing left, but you do not give a fuck. And like, you will try shit. You will like, it wears you down. Like, it wears you down to the point where you're kind of, it's just like, and that was, I would have to set more specific goals of like, I'm really only working on this bit or that bit, because it was like, it's so overstimulating too to be in that many, like, to be in like 3 bars a night. Like, it was like, this is not just me drinking with my friends. Like, I was like coordinating how to get on the list, where to be there. And so it gets you almost, it forces you out of your head for performing, because your head has been like, how am I going to do all this? What am I going to do here? What is it, you know? And like, you really, it's like, and what happened to me a couple times is when I would do the 3 a night, the second one would always hit. It would literally, I was like, oh, this is almost setting me up. I felt like I was setting me up for bad, because I was like, it feels like I'm doing a warm up, a crush, and then a bomb every night. Like, it was like, boom, boom, boom. But obviously, like, yeah.
Like the beginning, middle, and an end.
Literally. But, and like, obviously, like, it varied because of like different bars, different rooms and stuff like that. But yeah, doing like grinding like that, because that's like so, everybody, it's when you're just like grinding and you're like, okay, I have a thing. And like, the most recently it was like in, what was it? It's No, it's December now. In November, in November I had a show I prepped for, so I like started. I was like, okay, you got to grind again. Like you got off it, you got to grind. And it's like when you start performing that much, you just kind of like it does become second nature in like an intense workout kind of way. It's really good, and but it also wear you out. And like I got pretty worn out too, and was like, okay, I can't keep up. I have to have like a pretty good intention about keeping up this kind of pace so that I'm getting something out of it. But it's really it makes your brain crazy. But it was also part of my like, this is how you have to train for a full-time job. Like if you're a comedian and you're actually making all your money doing that, this is exactly what I'd have to do. Like I'd have to do 3 spots a night, 5 spots a night, like driving around. Like this is exactly what you have to do. So doing with the open mics, you just have the extra hurdle of you're not being paid and you got to get on that list somehow and you're waiting around and doing all of that. So, but yeah, it's intense, but it's a good thing. And that's the thing is it's that wear down where I would find my fear doing all these weird tricks where I was like, nope, you're just afraid of succeeding at this. So sit there and do the 5th one and you got this. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
But it was also a good way to meet a lot of people. Because that's the thing is I think I even settled into it quickly where you go to kind of the same open mics on the same days and then you meet all the same people. And when you grind like that, everybody is like, okay, she does comedy. Like everybody in like the little, like whatever their little circle of what they do, if you do all 5 a night, it's like, okay, you've kind of hit like all the kind of, this is their vibe. They do their shows there and they do their shows there. Because sometimes people talk about cliques in comedy and I'm just like, it seems so Midwest nice to me where like people just kind of, there's just like a bunch of kind of crews of people who like do their stuff. But like that's what people do. And this is a DIY city. Like if you want to have a show, you produce a show. Like you just do your thing. Like, and that is the attitude I love because it's just like, as long as you expose yourself to everyone, they're like, okay, yeah, well, 5 minutes, okay, great.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it kind of naturally happens in a place like this. You kind of like fall into a community of people. And if it was more cliquey, it wouldn't be so easy to do that. It'd be kind of scary.
Yeah, and that's
it's not so much like that. You would say like no in-group type of thing. There's some of them.
There is. I mean, here's the thing. From my perspective as like the new kid, there's definitely groups of people who like hang out and like book each other on their shows and like do that kind of thing. But I've never gotten a cliquey unfriendliness where like I have to like if you're not cool with so and so, you're not in the group or like you're not. There isn't like a appeasing to people, at least from what I've seen, because all I've ever focused on is just going out and like having a really good time. And like when I'm having a good time, you meet people, you connect with people and they're all eager to connect with you. So I haven't had a lot of like closed offishness and I wonder if it would be clearer. But like, and it's the same thing too, where a lot of the stories I've heard from older comedians, like things got shaken up during COVID. So there is like a way that like maybe there was like an in clique or like there might have been a hot like group that like was really doing their thing or like I don't know who was on top or something. If all that was going down, I don't really know about it because it really does seem like COVID shook things up, and that's like it's almost the feeling I get that we've moved on from COVID is almost from doing open mics where I'm like it feels like this scene has like a momentum that has almost regained from like shit getting weird and nobody knowing how we could all, hang out in a bar and talking to the same mic. Like it did. And it's like, I wasn't around then. I don't know. But it does seem to me that it's just like, it just seems like there are groups of friends and there's definitely people dating and hooking up and you could talk about it for hours, but it's generally pretty uninteresting. Like for real, like it's just like, it's pretty uninteresting. And it's just like, yeah, it's a group of people interested in similar things who drink a lot. Some people date, some people hook up. Some people are friends, some people aren't friends. And it seems like the more beef you have with people, the harder it is for people to put you on every lineup. So it's in your interest not to have beef. So it seems chill to me. Yeah. But I've definitely had people be like, this click or that click. And I'm like, I think you might be talking about like a couple people who are dating and a couple people who hang out together sometimes. I don't know if you're exactly referring to a clique. Yeah. Like
I always wonder because I don't know. Like when people say things like oh, there's a certain type of like mentality that people have. It's cliquey. Like it makes me wonder. Like is that just how you're perceiving it? Because I don't know. I want to take your word for it. but I also have the wisdom to know that you might just be looking at it that way. You have to like know exactly, like, oh, so you can only get booked at this place if you know this person. Like when you start telling me shit like that, I'm like, okay, then I kind of see what you're saying now.
Well, and
but
that's
like, I don't know if it's so much like that here. I don't know. You're telling me you haven't seen it, so maybe it's not so bad. Maybe we'll have you back on in 5 years and you'll have an expose for me.
That would be really good. Like literally, me in 5 years, I'm like, I'm naming names. Like I'm talking shit. I hate these people. I hate this fucking city. That would be really good. And that's why I almost, it's sort of like that where it's like, it's exactly what you say where it's like, oh, you can only get booked on this show if you know this person. I feel like that's true, but in my experience, it's been like, if you know this person, so-and-so knows them, they'll give you your email. Like, it's literally like, you gotta know her to get on the show, and her email is widely available. She's in the scene, and she's very nice, and takes submissions. Like, it's very like that. Like, that is sort of the vibe that I've gotten. It's very just like, yeah, you gotta know them, and to know them, come out sometime, have a beer. And so that's another thing, too, is I do think it's a self-selecting group, and I'm someone that is just like, I've always been someone that's just like, all I really want to do is like have a beer in a bar and we can all have a good time, which I know is the ethos of a lot of like the vibe of many open mics. So I never had any problems like fitting in or feeling accepted because it was just like, I'm rolling up being like, oh yeah, beers, that's what we're doing. Great. That's what we're doing. We're doing that. And so I think it is harder, I think. And that's right. When I was younger, I probably would have had a lot more like social, like, oh, I don't know if everyone's accepting me and likes my thing. And it's like, I'm at this point in my life where I'm like, nah, I'm 30. We all just, we just want to chill. Like, let's just chill. You do not have to validate me. It would feel so good if you did validate me. But if I beg for it, you're not going to. So let's just cheers. You know, like it's just, I have that kind of, and so I do feel like, yeah, I feel bad for comics who are like starting out and are like 20, 21, especially if they're young women. Cause it's like, I'm like, damn, no, I had none of my stuff together socially enough to handle like the social aspect of all of this. I couldn't handle it. I would have been like, it's just too vulnerable to get up on stage and then be like, is everyone my friend? Is everyone hiring me for my job and is my friend? Like, ooh, it's intense. I bet people get twisted up with it, but I'm just so, and that's why I tell people all the time too. I lived in Chicago long enough. I have 3 friends. Like, I like making acquaintances. I like being social. I like making new friends. But I have like 3 capital F friends. I'm good. If you hate me, I have someone to call. Like, I have someone to call to help me move and someone to call to hang out with. It's cool. And like that kind of confidence I definitely would have never had if I hadn't been in the city for a while, been this age of my life. Like that, yeah, it really helps when you get to that place.
I don't even think there's that many young comics in general now that you mention it, though. I don't even think there's that many of them. Like, I can't think of a whole bunch of, like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I haven't been exposed to this enough. But, like, younger, I'm talking, like, 18 to 20-year-olds.
Well, 18 to 20 is
maybe
hard.
Maybe even 20 to 22, though. Like, is there a big... I imagine most comedians would be 25 and up. That's usually what you see, would be my guess.
I would say that's definitely closer to the median because I would say like that's why I even like it because I have some younger friends and I had been in bars with 20-year-olds a lot and like going to open mics was like, oh my God, like everyone here is like 35 and up. Like this, I'm the hot young thing. Like this is nice. Like there's definitely like an older, but no, there's definitely like a handful of, because especially like the guys who are kind of like grinding and like trying this out, there's definitely a handful of like kind of college age, 21 to 24, like comics out there. But I do think, yeah, it's hard for 18 to 20 because everything's in bars. And I know that it's like the rules are you could perform if your parent comes with you, but like what a buzzkill. Like it's probably not that fun. But I've seen pictures. Some of the comics were showing you pictures from the pandemic, and like there was a I think Donovan Strong O'Donnell did it. I may be wrong, but there was an open mic like on like a pickup truck. Like
I saw that. It's his thing on Facebook. It's his profile picture. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and they have pictures of like I think she was 5. She was like a 5-year-old girl. Like came out and like did a set, and I'm like that's what I do love is that like as much as like I'm definitely comfortable and like enjoy stand up in bar culture because it like gives me that's the culture I like and I'm used to. The outdoor stuff, and when you can break it down, you can then get that age diversity of like these are people that can't even be in a bar and like they're probably fucking hilarious. Like that's because there's who was it? There's a couple legendary comics like goats who are known for like they started going out at 16. Like there's definitely like comedy legends that are like, look, the sooner you can start going out if you know you want to do this, you're gonna be good. I think maybe Louis C.K. is the one that is like 16 or something, like really just started going out and doing this thing. And it's like, well, you want to be good right away?
That is really young, though.
It's really young. I couldn't have done it. And that's why I know I couldn't have done it. I'm glad I didn't. I would have gotten a lot of bad notions in my head about what works, and yeah, it wouldn't have worked at all. And that was the thing too, is I set that goal for January to go to an open mic, and I didn't go until the end of the month. Like I like pushed it off, and I waited until the last moment before I couldn't not do it. I was like, okay, you can't not do it now. Like after everything that you've been through and everything that you've learned as a person, but that maturity level, would have never had it. It was the kind of thing that like I always knew. I was like, when I moved here, I was a theater kid, but I was like, I don't want to be an actress, and I never want to act. Now I would. Cast me. It's fine. I'm good with myself. But I didn't want to act, and I don't act then because I was like, I literally was like, I could not handle handing someone a picture of my face, asking them to hire me, and then them being like, no, based on this picture of your face. I would not recover.
That's why I don't like dating apps.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess I didn't even think about how that's like so the same thing. But yeah, because it's like, you literally just rejected me on this thing that I can control whatever, but like really cannot control. This is my genetic lot in life, and that's what you're basing this on. I couldn't. I was always like, oh no, it'll fuck me up because somebody will tell me what my type is, or somebody will tell me what roles I'm appropriate for, and I'll be like, is that the kind of person I am? Like, oh my God. And I was like, that'll give you me mental problems that I would not be able to deal with. And I know it's like if I tried to do stand-up younger, similar shit where I'm like, what does everyone think of me? What does that mean about who I am? And it's like I got right to the point in my life where I was like, oh, no one can tell me who I am. Oh, this is about me v me. Okay, cool, great. What's up, fuckers? Like, just that was when I was like, okay, got it. And like, and not that I'm like a perfectly secure person, but it was finally, I was like, oh, this won't ruin me. Like, if you hate me, this won't ruin me. Yeah. And it wouldn't ruin me. Like, 20-year-old me, oh my God. Could have never done that. No.
And that's also, in retrospect, if you had so much of 20-year-old you documented on a stage, that would probably be tough too, The 20-year-olds watching this are pissed off. They're like, fuck you. But like, I'm telling you, like,
You're
this is
so
like
smart.
This is natural in life. Is like every single time you get older, a little bit, you're always thinking, I'm cool now. I'm good now. I'm normal now. And then you look back at what you were, and you're like, fucking, what did I used to do? What I used to say? Think? I just prepare myself for it now. Yeah. I have no shame in anything. Ultimately, that's the message here, right? That's the approach. Okay, just have no shame.
No shame.
Because you inevitably will get better, and you're inevitably going to look back at older you and be like, what the fuck? 20-year-old me said what now? Thank God I didn't expose myself. And again, I feel bad for these kids now, because now it's just right in their fingertips all the time. It's so easy. We got baby Groks, all right? We got fucking all kinds of shit in the future, dude. And I don't know how I feel about it. I look at it and I'm like, you know what? This is the beauty of America, folks. And I think that's a great place for us to wrap this up.
America. God bless America.
Yeah.
That's really my thesis as a person.
Yeah. Fucking God bless. America.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. And also, we never said your name. We never said your social media. So now's your chance to let everybody know who they've been listening to for the last 2 hours.
I'm like, which parts are going in? I should say my sister's Instagram. No, I'm just kidding.
Say every single detail about yourself.
So my address is, I am Abbigale Blaze. That's my name. Legally, I am Blaze with the government. Very cool. So I'm looking for weed sponsorships. If you'd like to follow me at Abby Blaze It on Instagram, ABBI Blaze It 420. No, there's no 420. Just Blaze It. And
but 420 though, but also 420.
420 all the time, especially if you'd like me to rep your brand. Okay, that's it. That's all I do.
All right, folks. And with that being said, Ruse Radio. Clocking out.
I got the world in my pocket, got a girl on my arm, got an eye in my socket, whirlwinds in my palms. I'm a free man. Let me lead you along. I can show you something different. Let me sing you a song. Ain't no algorithm touch me, ain't no balance this lovely. I find a way to find a way out.